the Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding Him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy, you're invited.
Shalom, 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 brothers and sisters. Shalom. Blessings to my brothers and sisters. Come on in, come on in. Hit the like button. Hit the like button, my brothers and sisters. Hit the like button. How you all doing? Come on in. Blessings, blessings. Blessings to my brothers and sisters throughout the four corners of the earth. Oh, there it is. There it is. I was wondering what's going on with my music. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Shalom. Of course, we have to start it off with a quick little intro, one of my favorite songs. One of my favorite songs on earth. Y'all ready? We're the children of Israel. Uh-huh. And we're back. Come on, sing it with us. Come on.
The east is where we're from. The 12 tribes of Israel.
The 12 tribes of Israel. Come on.
In 721 BC, the Assyrian king, he took us down, we fell.
Come on.
With the great escape, we went through the Euphrates. The Lord held the water still.
Oh, hold up, hold up. So, okay, someone said play the song Save Me. All right. Well, let's do Save Me then. Let's do Save Me. Let's do Save Me. Since someone requested Save Me, let's go. Blessings. Hit the like button. Save us, Lord. Save us from ourselves. Let's do it.
I was on my way, felt the presence of your son every day. Every day, I let go of your hand.
I'll let you go in your hand.
And now I feel a change. Close the door, fall to my knees, and I began to pray. Oh, help me, the cares of the world slowly pulling me away. Now I hear a voice calling me to the light. He Still in the heart, so I discern wrong from right. I'm at a fork in the road. Which way should I go? Help me find. Come save me.
And I can't believe what I saw.
I saw me sinning willfully. I won't break your law no more. Send your son, open back to me.
Oh, Father, please forgive me.
Please forgive me. I hear a voice calling me to the light. In a heart so I would know
Wrong from right.
I'm at a fork in the road, Lord. Which way should I go? Help me find.
Come save me. Shine down on me. I'm one of your sons of Jacob.
Oh, I believe. Please bring me to the light. Sing your song so I will know. Wrong from right. I'm at a fork in the road, Lord. Which way should I go?
Help me fight. Come and save me.
To the light. Wrong from right. I'm at a fork in the road, Lord. Which way should I go? Send your son, make me right. Come save me. Oh, 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 oh.
Lord,
Come
save me. There you go. Save me. Save us. Save us. Some troubled times. And yes, we are working on some new projects. So that song means so much. I mean, on this journey, come to think of a specific time while we were all out there on the overseas and teaching and dropping the knowledge, and the song came, save us, save me. Lord, have mercy. Shalom, brothers and sisters. I'm Elder Rawchaa of the Gathering of Christ Church. I thank the Most High, in the name of Yeshua, for opportunity, for breath, for Christ's grace. Because sometimes we go through this life without really truly appreciating and being grateful for all that the Most High blessed us with. Well beyond anything that we thought we would experience in one lifetime. To know the truth, to know that the Most High is calling back his people, to know that it won't be too long before Israel, we as a people, see our King. And I don't want to take nothing for granted. I don't want the Most High or Christ to ever think that I don't appreciate everything He's given to me. And through all that, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this truth, to know in a time of darkness that we can see and understand the true doctrine according to His word. It's so many things, so many blessings we can appreciate and thank the Most High for. Even in a time of straight darkness and confusion, there's always space to stay grateful. And I thank the Most High for you all. Okay? You're in my prayers. I feel your prayers. And at the end of the day, those who are in the truth, keep in mind that the Most High is gathering the elect to the elect. And in a world of straight confusion, we are all we have. I come to think about this, brothers and sisters. I see people out there as Buddhist, atheist, Satanist. People with all these grandiose ideas of the universe and all of that with no clear direction. And I say, you know what? That could have been any of us. For some reason, the Most High chose us to see this truth. And with that comes a responsibility and gratitude. Being gracious. Okay? And so even when I bring out what the devil is doing and how to navigate through this straight desolation aimed towards our people, still understand that regardless of what we're showing concerning what the enemy's doing, that it has no effect on our trajectory towards Christ's kingdom. As long as we standing on that rock, when the wind blows, when the storms come, when the fires hit, we'll be standing on what? Solid rock. So when I break these things down, a lot of people are looking at it like, oh my God, the world is coming to an end. What are we going to do? Brothers and sisters, this world must fall to usher in our kingdom. That's a reality, and we must accept that. Either we're going to run through this earth and walk through this earth scared, oh my God, and all these other things, and operate on that fear, or stand on the faith that the Most High have given us with this truth. And guess what? Faith totally eradicates any level of fear. Christ is with us. Christ is with us. And folks, there's no doubt in that. Stay strengthened through these times. So everything I'm going to show tonight, I'm just showing you the reality of what the enemy's doing so that we can navigate through it. So you'll know that you're not alone going through this. Okay? The enemy will tell you one thing, but if you have the truth, you'll see it for what it is and sidestep it. Okay? Shalom. How you doing, Elder Lawya?
Shalom, sir. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I am blessed by the best, and his name is Ahia. I'm real excited about this new project we're working on with the music.
Yes, sir.
That will inspire so many people. I know you heard it. I let you hear it after the Sabbath the other day. Last week. I'm excited about that.
God, people are definitely you all are in store for a treat. I tell you that.
I know it shocked you a little bit where this music is going, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, and I'm also excited and I'm grateful for the Passover that will be in Orlando, Florida, right? And I can't wait to be there amongst my brothers in Florida, Orlando, Florida. They've gone through so much since the so-called pandemic and others, where there was a shaking, and now we're coming there for the Passover. Thousands of people. Man, I can't wait for that. Also, Elder Lawya, we're going to be doing another all-white gala. But we're going to find some place in Texas to do this one. So, all-white gala. We're going to be in Texas. We got looking for a date for that. I don't know whether or not it's going to be Houston or Dallas. I'm still working that out. I'm still thinking about that. I probably have to draw lots for that.
God.
I'm also excited. I was excited with my man, Damon Wilson, in the academy last Sunday. You know, I let Damon Wilson go. It's like sitting down, growing up, sitting in the living room, you know, with your uncle, just letting it all just out with no direction, no filter. It just feels good to hear some of the elders like I grew up with just giving their perspective on things. So, Damon Wilson from Sanford and Son, man, he's a wonderful man. He's a good man, an elder man with much wisdom, and he was in the academy Sunday and just gave us some of the perspectives on a lot of these so-called Hollywood stars and the private parties that he was actually invited to, but shunned those parties, knowing what was behind those scarlet doors. And you know, I'm like, you know, I'm just gonna let them flow. You know, I'm like, listen, you hear me, you hear my perspectives all the time. So I say, you know what? It's 30 minutes. Let Damon Wilson flow with what the Most High have given him to understand. And yeah, it's like a serious uncle.
Right.
Right. So speaking of the academy, Elder, we got a new academy coming up in a couple of weeks. Right. We're gonna probably take a week or two off. We're going into week 11, right?
Yes, sir.
And we have a new academy coming up. Let me put it up there for you before we jump into it real quick. We have a new academy coming up, and that's February 16th. For those who would like to know, you can enroll by going to historytimes.org. Historytimes.org. Get your Sunday dose. Our Hebrew Bible Academy starts at 9 a.m. We try to at least wrap everything up by 3 p.m. Okay. Usually it says from 2 p.m., but sometimes the news be getting me so stirred up, I don't know when to stop talking, and we go over, right? Or if there's some, I would say some new insight within a lesson I'm teaching, I'm not going to look at the watch, folks. If the Most High bless us to see something that day that wasn't brought out, even if I have to take more time to make sure people understand what the Word of God says, I'll just go over. All right. So a lot of you know that when it comes to me, I don't leave anything on the table. Sometimes when I'm teaching, you know, I extol so much of myself within the particular lesson. I just have to go roll over and get in the bed and go to sleep. Okay. I'll be exhausted because I try to make sure if I get an opportunity to drop something, not knowing tomorrow isn't promised to anyone. So I don't want to say, well, I should have said this or I was holding this back in that particular moment. Anytime I'm before you, brothers and sisters, I'm going to give it everything in the spirit the Most High is actually bringing me to say as much as I can with this platform, so that there's no regrets concerning. I don't remember one lesson, Elder Lawya, where after I was done, I said, well, I should have said this or should have done that, because I gave it everything I could in that moment. Okay. So because of that, even when I teach the lessons, you know, I don't like to say, well, the academy is over at 2 p.m. Let me just do something just to make sure I'm out by that time. Nah, if the Most High is showing something, the clock stops. And when the word finish, when people understand, when their questions are answered, that's when I'm satisfied with that day. So even though we say 2 p.m., usually it goes over. February 16th. The theme for this particular academy will be the War of the Gods. Okay, eventually, America and all the other governments will actually reveal is the fact that they have been in contact with aliens, but they're not no aliens at all. The gods that have been worshipped since the fall that happened in the beginning are the aliens. They're the ones running things from the caves outside of these Babylonian cities. Area 51, mountains in Afghanistan, all of these places, folks, powers or fallen angels are in control of all politicians. Okay? Of all politicians. So eventually they're going to begin to let the world know, well, listen, we had contact with aliens, but there's no aliens at all. They sacrifice to the gods. And what I'm going to be going into in this particular academy with Elder Lawya is highlighting the war of the gods. It happened before the flood, and there will be a war of Armageddon at the very end, realm against realm. The righteous powers of heaven against the fallen principalities and powers. And that war will be in the sky before it comes to this earth. And I'll be talking about that. The Bible details this. I'm going to be going into the book of Enoch, detailing this war. In the Bible, where Christ will lead against the prince of darkness. All of that and more will be taught in the next Hebrew and Bible Academy. The origin of angels, week 2. Breaking down all of what? All of the heavenly angels' rankings according to positions. Not one by one, but you have the what? You got the seraphim. You got the cherubim. You have the oraphim. We also have what? We have the sons of God, the sons of the morning, who sings before the Almighty. All the ranking angels under Christ. I'm going to break them all down. And then we're going to go into what? The fallen angels. Those that were in the face of the deep that control the world we see today. And why do we have to understand this? We don't pray to angels, which is involuntary worshiping of angels. We pray directly to Christ, to the Most High in the name of Christ, who controlled and who created all principalities and powers, and he direct the angels for us according to his power. The difference between how we pray to the Almighty to get our prayers answered and those who operate in the darkness, such as sorcerers, witches, people who deal with the Eastern ideologies using idolatry. Well, the difference is the Gentile nations pray to all these gods or angels separately using idols. We don't do that. Okay, that's what they call hustling backwards. Why do I have to pray and make a god of the air, or God for rain, and God for snow, okay, and God for the sun god? Why should I worship each one separately like the Catholic Church does without telling you, when I can go straight to the source who controls all? So we're going to break, and this is what people don't understand about witches and warlocks. They'll make you think, well, we just deal with nature. We just study nature and pay homage to nature. No, you are a devil worshiper. What you're lying and not telling people who believe in the Bible is that when you do what? When you sacrifice to idols for rain and all these, there's a God that you are invoking power from, that you are interacting with. That's what you're not telling people. So you got to watch these Wiccans, these witches, these warlocks who claim, well, I'm a good witch. There's no such thing as a good witch. You are of your father, the devil. There's no such thing as a good sorcerer. They're idolaters. And if you don't understand how this thing works when it comes to spiritual interactions in the invisible, you'll understand in this academy. These witches, these warlocks, they require blood sacrifice of children. This is why they have made abortion legal, so that you're doing child sacrifice in plain sight for the world, like it was in ancient times with the Canaanites. Okay? It's blood sacrifice. All of that and more we're going to talk about in the academy when it comes to the origin of angels. Okay? We don't have to pray to each angel that Christ created. We go directly to the source. And if the Most High see forth to give us rain because we pray for rain, then Christ sent the angels to do all that. The witches and warlocks, you see how it worked there? But the witches and warlocks, they'll pray to the angel, good or bad, to send rain. Okay? The Aztecs went off with that. The North American Indians, our Gadite brothers went off for that, praying for rain and all that. When you go straight to Christ for whatever you need, and guess what? He will order the celestial if it be his will. Because sometimes we pray for things that we don't need. Okay? So we'll pray to Christ. And if he see fit that we need it, the angels, the ministering angels come and do all that work to make sure we're okay. All right? So I'm going to talk about that in the academy with the lesson, The Origin of Angels. We're going to have the reason for Adam's fall. The reason for Adam's fall. Now, why am I going into this? Here's the reality. Every time we talk about Adam and Eve, it seems like the conversation falls on, well, Eve was deceived and the woman is the bad one. Okay? And we have to get out of that. Why? Adam is here to do the will of the Father. He was set forth to name everything on earth and to have dominion under a what? A priesthood. See? Under a priesthood of Melchizedek, which means he was accountable to the Almighty, regardless of what Eve did. Okay? He didn't have to eat the fruit. He chose to eat the fruit.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay, he didn't have to. He was already in dominion. So if a man acquiesces under a woman's power, you get what you get. Okay? If you stand in your dominion, then guess what? She can only respect that and have to what? Follow suit. Okay? The Most High told Adam not to take it. He loved his woman and he took it. But through that, he relegated his power. That has nothing to do with Eve. He had an agreement with the Most High before this woman was taken out of him. And he was supposed to stand in that agreement. So if any man give his power over, you can't blame a woman for that. Because man and woman have the propensity or the desire to rule.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you have to understand. It's not, the man isn't the only one who has a desire for power or understand that he's supposed to be in power. Adam ruled the male side and Eve ruled the female creatures and angels. I mean, not angels, the creatures on earth under Adam. Okay? So she ruled the female. And Adam ruled the male, which means they both had dominion. But at the end of the day, her dominion was to check, even with all of her dominion, she still had to submit herself and check with Adam. Once she went off, Adam had a choice. Adam knew she ate the fruit. Okay, now he had a choice. His choice was to stand with the power who gave him dominion or do everything he could to try to save or be under the power or lower his power to save this woman or be down with this woman. He made a choice. Okay? And with that choice, a fall. The reason Adam fell, we're going to go into that. The reason Adam fell. Okay? We're going to talk about that. The understanding of the Antichrist, and of course, Elder Lawya, a new lesson that I talked to you about before the broadcast began.
Yes, sir. The true doctrine to the Gentiles.
There you go. The true doctrine to the Gentiles. For the first time, taught in its entirety in the next academy. We're going to go into what Christ said concerning the Gentiles before he went to them. We're going to deal with all the interactions of the New Testament with the Gentiles. We're going to go to Paul when Paul was given the ministry to the Gentiles. And what we're going to do is we're going to clear up all the inconsistencies when it comes to Christians who would teach that Gentiles have equal footing with the blood people of Israel, which is really, at the end of it, a replacement theology. We're going to clear that up, what it means to be fellow heirs. Okay? Now, yeah. Did it say that they will be fellow heirs? Absolutely. But fellow heirs if they didn't what? Boast against the natural branches. See, there's a condition there. You just can't say Israelites are done away with, and now you're grafted in contrary to that olive tree and say, well, now the kingdom belongs to us, and do what? Shun the original people who gave you an opportunity. You can't do that. So when it says to be heirs of the promise, being grafted in is one thing. But what you do once you're grafted in, guess what? There's a responsibility for that and a consequence if you don't follow that. We're going to go there. We're going to show you what will the Israelites be doing in the kingdom and what will the Gentiles be doing in the kingdom who are now heirs to the promise. Because I'm not saying Gentiles cannot be into the kingdom of heaven. Okay? But there's an inner court and there's an outer court. And we're going to discuss that in the next academy. And we're going to also talk about the other side, where you got a lot of crazed Israelites out there with a doctrine claiming that Gentiles can't be saved. That's a bold-faced lie. Okay? That's a bold-faced lie. So you have Christians leaning on one side, saying the Israelites are done away with, and it's about the Gentiles. And you have a lot of Hebrews on the one side saying it's all about Israel, and there's no Gentiles. They're not going to be saved. Well, what's the true doctrine? We're going to break this down, the Bible open, strictly with precepts in the next academy. And if you don't get it after that, hey, there's nothing I can say. You can try to disagree with me all you want. Okay, but you ain't going to stand up all night looking at your Bible, screaming at it, saying, I don't agree. Okay, the Bible isn't going to answer you back. I'm going to pull out these precepts, and the precepts are going to say what they say. Whether you are a Christian who believe, or whether or not you're an Israelite who don't believe that Gentiles can be saved, you're not going to be able to push back with the doctrine that we're teaching to the Gentiles. Either side will not be able to refute what this church is bringing forth with the understanding. Be there. Go to historytimes.org to enroll. So, Elder Lawya, let's jump right in. First and foremost, I want to just ask you again, how you doing? You doing well?
Yes, sir. Doing very well.
All right. Well, let's see how many people we have in here. Man, we got 1,400 already. Thank you. Thank you, brothers and sisters. Hit the like button, and we're going to go into the plans for the city of angels. The plans for the city of angels is what we're going to talk about today. Right? Remember last week, we started talking about these fires. And I thank Anya for sending me a link to a website, something that I talked about years ago, but there were so many things going on during the last election cycle. I'm talking about 2020, that so many things going on. George Floyd, the corny garbage, Black Lives Matter garbage. That's really a wing of the DNC. Straight Satanists and or Marxists. People talk about Trump is racist. And then in the midst of that, coronavirus. But even though people was out there without masks, rioting on the streets, military on certain streets and all these things. And it was to a degree where they were throwing so much junk out there, so much misdirection, people didn't know what to think. And I believe that was intentional, right? Order out of chaos. But through that, there were some plans that were discussed that were conveniently not talked about because there's so much chaos was going on at one time. They were radicalizing the kids in these universities, getting them out, because people were, they were all in their homes, not able to get out unless they were rioting, right? Radicalizing children and all these things, but they were talking about something that I believe most people forgot about. And here we are 4 years later. And I'm glad Anya sent me this link last week because I'm like, oh, I forgot that we talked about this. So what's really going on with these fires and what are their plans after the fires? And the plans for the City of Angels is our broadcast this evening. What are the plans? And what are we gonna do through these plans? And another thing, what type of disaster we can look forward to in all the cities that they're going to have to do something in to bring forth the next initiatives, right? You can take out parts of California because it was ripe for a fire if you don't clean up brush for 40 years and the reservoirs are dry. So when fire sparks, there's nothing to put it out, then that's the way you take down areas of California for your convenience for whatever comes next. Well, every major city doesn't have brush all over the place to conveniently get rid of a whole area like that. So for other areas, what plans they have for catastrophic things to happen to bring forth the initiative in that city. And that's what we need to look into this evening. That's what we're going to look into. Folks, something is going on with every city, Elder Lawya, that was asylum cities. Here's a question. I'm not saying alleged. I'm not making no accusations. You can draw your own conclusions, brothers and sisters, after this. Right? I'm just going to ask a question. Okay? With what happened with the asylum cities, could it be that in these particular asylum cities, there's sleeper cells that were strategically put in place by whomever that would bring forth the initiative that was planned before the immigrants came in? I'm just asking a question. So we must keep an eye on all the cities that they had, quote unquote, asylum seekers or illegals going into. Why? Because there were some specific plans before this for those particular areas. Follow me. Let's go here first. Fair use. I'm picking up from where we left off at. And I pray for all those who are dealing with this catastrophe that could have been avoided. But I'm starting to believe that there was no way to avoid this. The people just didn't know. Fair use.
Los Angeles residents are furious as wildfires engulf their city, turning it into an apocalyptic nightmare, while Mayor Karen Bass was thousands of miles away in Africa. Bass, who was attending the inauguration of Ghana's president as part of a Biden administration delegation, faced harsh criticism online. Residents slammed her absence, demanding her resignation. Commenters on social media included, "Why are you in Ghana? LA is burning to the ground." Even Rick Caruso, who narrowly lost the 2022 mayoral race to Bass, didn't hold back. Speaking to Fox 11, Caruso called the situation a failure of leadership, highlighting reports of bone-dry hydrants hampering firefighters' efforts. He challenged reporters to ask the mayor why there's no water for these fires. Former acting director of national intelligence Richard Grinnell also weighed in, accusing national media of ignoring Bass's absence during the crisis. Bass's office announced she was en route back to LA as criticism intensified. But many residents, including conservative commentator Ashley Hayek, were outraged, calling it insane that the mayor was on a taxpayer-funded trip while their city burned. Bass, who took office in 2022, now faces mounting pressure to address the crisis and her controversial absence during one of LA's most harrowing moments.
For more stories like these, be sure to subscribe to the New York Post right.
So this is where I left off at last week in this story. But there's something interesting going on because we understand that well before the asylum cities, Elder Lawya, these so-called dreamers, when Biden got in and started not only just busing, but allowing all these people over the border and flying them into certain areas under Biden. A lot of people forgot about this. They were flying people in the thousands and busing them into specific areas, right? Before all of that, LA and Texas were already asylum seeking or high numbers of illegal immigrants. The population was already, right, like innumerable in these particular areas. California and or Texas. A matter of fact, those particular states were the beta test for what they was going to do, having the governor now and say, well, I'm going to send these people to other cities, to Democratic ran cities, right? Now, I need y'all to check this out of nowhere. Here's an illegal right here, right? They call an illegal alien, which means they're not dealing with what? Going through the process of citizenship that we would have to go through traveling into another country or seeking citizenship in another country, which means you as someone who was born an American citizen cannot just walk into another country, Ghana or anywhere, and just get citizenship and be able to get all these subsidies and finances strictly for being from someplace else. Okay? So what we're witnessing here, you can't do being born an American citizen if you were to go into any of these other countries, right? Check this out. Fair use for educational purposes only. Look at this.
We brought this video to you yesterday. As you can see, that man who was holding a blowtorch was walking around a neighborhood when neighbors did approach him. This is, of course, over in Los Angeles County.
So you got a guy who came over the border with a blowtorch. With a blowtorch. Now, you have your elected officials who let them in the country. And for some reason, they found this guy, he's coming out of the woods in different areas with a blowtorch. Now, what type of agreement was he given? Right? What type of agreement does he have to do this? And what benefit is it for him for doing this? What was he told? I'm going to leave that out there for you all. Is there an agreement that if he does this, that he'll get citizenship or finances or whatever the case is? Right? In the midst of LA being burnt down, there's a guy who shouldn't be in the country who they found with a blowtorch. Did y'all know about this?
And it appeared that he was trying to light different materials on fire. Eventually, all the neighbors show up, they take him to the ground, and then they do take him into custody as police arrive there. Now, we do know that he was arrested. However, he has not been charged in connection with any...
Now, check it out. Arson. But he's above the law, which means, folks, even after he was found seeking to torch something in the midst of what? A serious catastrophe in LA. He wasn't charged. Now, I need y'all to think about this, folks. If this was me or you, Elder Lawyer, what you think would have happened if you was walking through LA real quick and they found you coming out of the brush with a torch? On top of that, Elder Lawyer, I gotta illustrate. I gotta paint a perfect picture on this. You're coming from behind the trees. You are an American citizen. You got a torch in one hand, and you got a mitre on your head. How you think that's gonna fend? How you gonna fend after that one? What do you think gonna happen?
Tell you what, put that imagery back up there with the scene of the crime.
There it is. This is Lawya coming from behind a tree with a mitre on. In the bag, he has a Bible, and he got a torch. He got the Bible in one hand, and he got a Bible in the bag, and he got a torch in the other hand. Let me put it up there. This is Lawya. All right, okay, there it is. He gonna pop it off. He in his bag. See, he got a Bible, he got a mitre, and he got a torch in one hand. How do you think they're gonna fend for you, Elder Lawyer? What do you think gonna happen?
Yeah, you see that tree right there?
Yeah.
They would have strung me up from that tree right there, and then tried to, when the cops came, would have put me right under the jail.
You know what?
That's
I think
what would have happened.
Yeah. Look at this. It would be some strange fruit hanging from this tree, right?
God.
So I'm trying to figure out what type of agreement this guy has in the midst of an emergency that he was caught seeking to burn something up so that the optics would have been these particular houses would have been added to the rest of the houses burned, but yet he wasn't charged. Right? So let's go through it.
Neighbors did approach him. This is, of course, over in Los Angeles County, and it appeared that he was trying to light different materials on fire. Eventually, all the neighbors show up, they take him to the ground, and then they do take him into custody as police arrive there. Now, we do know that he was arrested. However, he has not been charged in connection with any arsons at last check. Investigators saying they charged him with some other unrelated charges, but again, you can see the video there as he was approached by these neighbors who were paying attention and saw that he was holding a blowtorch and trying to light things on fire as they are dealing with all of these
Okay, they hemming him up against the tree.
Fires in the area. I do want to bring in Chris and Kim Sumner. Now, you're going to note.
See, this should have happened in Compton, Elder Lawyer. I believe he knew exactly where to go with this.
Right.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, if this would have been Compton, he knew where not to go. Okay? They would have twisted him like a Philadelphia pretzel. Right? You let them find him in Compton running down the street trying to torch something. Okay, and they would have robbed him. Let's go.
Notice on the top right-hand side of your screen there, it does say the video is from Chris. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us here and discuss this just a little bit further.
Sure, no problem. No problem.
All right, so first off, I have to ask, what I'm going to do is pop up the video itself so folks can get a better look at it. Can you explain to me, and you'll see it in a second, essentially what we are looking at?
Sure. So we heard a lot of screaming coming from outside, and these two gentlemen were very heated in their exchange. And so we stepped outside to see what was happening. And the first thing we noticed is one of the men is holding a blowtorch, and the other man is like, he's trying to start a fire. He just tried to start a fire.
Oh, 911.
Yeah. And so we're trying to figure out, all right, what's happening? What's going on? Why is this guy walking around with a blowtorch? And he does not. I'm like, when we first stepped outside, we were like, hey, man, just set the blowtorch down and let's figure out what's happening. And like, he was not going to set the blowtorch down no matter what. And it wasn't going to happen. And we're like, hey, let's figure out what's happening. Put the blowtorch down. We can all talk. Let's figure this out.
And this is fair use.
It wasn't happening. He just did not want to set the blowtorch down. The other gentleman had already.
And Karen ain't gonna let up. Before she stepped out, she been called 911. Let's go.
Said he tried to start another fire, and then another gentleman came up the hill and said, yes, he just tried to start another fire at my place. And so we're like, all right, you gotta stop. And so we're basically dialed 911 and waiting for the police to show up to discuss further.
Yeah, they gave him a sit down. They gave him a sit down with around the neck type zone. I think I missed this one the last time because I didn't think he didn't want to voluntarily lay down, Elder Lawyer. So they had to do the thing to him.
Yes, he just tried to start another fire at my place.
There it is.
And so we're
still trying to stand up.
And so we're
ain't gonna have. There it is.
And waited for the police to show up to
stay
discuss
down
further.
When you have the neighbors all coming together there, you see everyone come together and do what they can to essentially hold this guy until police get there, because there is a chance that he could have taken off running. What did it mean to see all of the neighbors kind of come together here?
I mean, that's the upside of the crisis is you get everyone kind of coming together and trying to watch out for your friends and your neighbors and work as a team and try to keep your children, your family safe.
Are you, at this point, concerned at all as the fires do continue there in Los Angeles County? What's going through your mind? Are you going to have to evacuate in any way?
Go ahead.
I don't think we're out of the woods yet, for perhaps a bad pun, but there's still a lot of fires surrounding us. So I think that we're definitely cautiously optimistic. The firemen and the air workers have done an amazing job. We can't thank them enough, and we're just hoping to stay safe.
There it is.
And at this point, we know that there are still 4 active.
They gave this dude a bike and a blowtorch.
Wildfires that are burning there in Los Angeles County. Chris and Kim, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here and discuss just a little bit more about this video and the situation in general. Is there anything else that you want to add here before I let you go?
Now, Elder Lawyer, there's many people, and is this some type of retaliation to make sure that some of these cities are irreparable before the next administration comes in? That's something else that's out there. Is this an intentional thing to make it where there's so much chaos going on that it's more so a retaliation against the other side before? Because a lot of these Democrats know that no one is going to vote them in again. Right? First of all this DEI thing, I believe that it's a cover for those who are really behind progressing the next stages in their plans. That's why I named this the Plans for the City of Angels. I truly believe that the DEI people, right, they was putting in these lesbian women and these other people in position. But I believe to some degree, these people were just cover for those who are really in control progressing these particular initiatives. And I'm going to tell you why I think that in a moment, right? Is it retaliation? What's really going on, right? I thank Elder Rawchaa for this. Last week in the Academy, and I had to bring this week because Rawchaa introduced this particular article from the AP that during our segment in the Academy, for those who missed it, you shouldn't miss it. You should be in the Academy, historytimes.org, mind you. California insurance market rattled by withdrawal of major companies, which, Elder, 3 to 4 months in advance, insurance companies stopped insuring all those that are in the arson areas, in the fire areas, automatically their insurance policies would not cover fire. So a question, did they know something? Because I understand insurance companies deal with what? Risk assessments. What did they know to understand not to insure these areas? Right? So when he put that out there, I'm like, this is interesting. And then there's another thing that's interesting that he that Elder Rawchaa showed here. Right? In the academy. historytimes.org. California insurance rattled by withdrawal of major companies. Major insurance companies say, nah, months in advance told those who were up to date on their policies. And I'm talking about nothing that ever happened. They were what? Loyal payers of premium. Been paying for years so to protect themselves from something such as this. In good standing, and all of a sudden someone sends you a letter through your email or a phone call and say, by the way, we will not be covering your house in the event of a fire. And you tell everyone in the same areas where the fires are happening, right? I don't know if any of you knew this. Now, look at this guy here, Stuart Resnick, the Resnick family. Now, do y'all know that the Resnick family owns over 60% of the water supply in California? Now, how is that possible? Well, you must go through these people to have water in your state. At least 60% of it. Who knew this? So I thought that was quite interesting that the reservoirs were empty. The reservoirs were empty, Elder Lawya. And on top of this, you have to go through a privatized company owned through this guy and his wife to get access to some water. Quite interesting when the earth was made out of the waters, when the Most High divided the waters from the waters. Water is not only a necessity, it's something that shouldn't be what? Hoarded and or controlled by a company or people. Now, I'm going to show you where it gets interesting, Elder Lawya. And thank you, Bishop Anya, for sending this to me. Right? This so happens to be what? This came out in 2020. Information Technology Agency, City of Los Angeles, where in 2020, Elder Lawya, they were talking about what? The plans for the City of Angels. Smart LA 2028. And this came out in what? This came out in 2020. A matter of fact, if y'all don't know, look at it right here, folks. It has 103,000 views 4 years ago. Around the time when there was a transition of power from Trump to the Democrats. They were talking about this 4 years ago. Right? So you let in immigrants. Now the immigrants we see 4 years later are helping with the arson, burning up these areas for whatever reason. But could this be the reason we're talking about? 4 years ago, fair use.
Information officer at the City of Los Angeles. As you know, we live in a world full of urban challenges. From traffic congestion that takes our time and pollutes our environment, to natural disasters that threaten the safety of our communities. To address these challenges, Los Angeles looks to smart city technology that can positively transform our urban environment. While not a silver bullet, technology...
Okay, so Elder Lawya, 4 years ago, they wanted to transform, according to his words, the urban environment. Right? Not according to me. Now, I so happen to have the whole PDF downloaded on the desktop. I say, I'm going to keep this. Because usually when they find out that we've been looking into certain things, it gets scrubbed. Right? It gets scrubbed. Right? Like there was what? A PDF for Event 201 that I made sure I downloaded on my desktop. I went there years later and I couldn't find the PDF. Event 201 was what? It was a test run for media, government, politicians, news, circulations, doctors, hospitals. What would happen if they all had to prepare themselves or had to deal with an event where there was a pandemic on an international level threatening the world? Where Event 201 showed how the hospitals will be reacting, the doctors, what they'll be saying on the news, well in advance before it actually happened. It's called Event 201. And then at the end of it, Event 201, they were saying that, well, maybe there's a way that we can throw it off this particular pandemic, or in the event of it, by making sure that the population has herd immunity, where hopefully we can have a vaccine in place at the end of the pandemic. And we're talking about what? Over a year before COVID came on the scene. See? So I made sure I downloaded this PDF because usually this gives us some insight to what's really going on, opposed to the news spin on what exactly is happening right now. Because they would make us believe that something happened out of nowhere, some fire came out of nowhere and burned the brush because they didn't clean up the brush, and now through negligence, the city of Angels is on fire. See?
Technology provides solutions that were previously unavailable to the generations who lived before us. It is technology that enables transparency in our policing and gives a powerful voice to our diverse communities. It's technology that innovates alternative energy sources to reduce pollution and limit our carbon footprint. And it is technology that provides
So it limits our carbon footprint, right? Suggesting that it's people and what we're using, as far as energy is concerned, is actually destroying the planet, which many are questioning. Right? Many are questioning that. Because how much emissions is actually harming the earth right now with Los Angeles on fire?
Right.
Right? Or save the planet. How many animals are burnt up? And all that. So here it is. They claim they're going to make it better for us to save the earth, when in actuality, the reverse is happening. Okay. Now, watch they start blaming this on global warming, folks. Keep your eyes on that.
Ultra high speed internet connectivity for LA residents and businesses to do amazing things. Technology enables the city of LA to efficiently and ethically improve the quality of life for our residents, businesses, and visitors. In other words, when done right, technology makes us smarter. That's why the city of Los Angeles strives to be a smart city.
A smart city they were talking about 4 years ago, right up under everyone's noses. At the same time, people was fearful. What about the cold? Can we go outside? Oh, the beer bug is going to do this or that. I can't go see grandma. She might have the beer bug. Let me seclude myself in my home and make My neighbors, my neighbors have become my enemy now because they are a threat to my existence. And while they were bugging the whole earth out with that madness, they had this right up under our noses at the same time, telling us that LA is to become a smart city. But how can you progress the smart city when people are in the way of progress? Suppose there's certain houses in place where, in particular, these particular people don't want to sell, or they love where they live. So they may be getting in the way, just asking a question here. They may be getting in the way of progress, just living in the homes they've purchased, where their families have lived for generations. And these people had no thought of getting rid of their place. Wouldn't that get in the way of this particular initiative if people decided, no, we don't want to give our homes over to this smart city? Just putting it out there.
And there's never been a more important time for Los Angeles to be smart than now, as we prepare to host the world in the 2028 Summer Olympics and Paralympics.
So they had to get things popping before the Olympics get there in 2028. So that means by 2028, it's going to be a whole new thing built ushering in the Olympics. Now, I'm going to hold it there and come back there in a moment because we all have, we got the goods right here. And matter of fact, I'm going to download this again just to make sure I have it. Yeah, I'm going to replace that. Yeah. Because all of a sudden, when people start looking into these things, it disappears offline. Right? So if it's 2020 and the mayor of LA is within the political spectrum, you think the mayor of LA knew about the city of Los Angeles Smart LA 2028 technology for a better Los Angeles? You think that the mayor of LA knew about this in December 2020? The one that went visiting Ghana, another DEI hire. Okay. So let's talk about this, right? But I'm gonna go back to this in a moment, right? And let's go over here. Just, let's move it from 2020. I'm gonna come back to this in a moment. And looky what we got here. This is December 2022. December of 2022. Los Angeles City Council moves forward with Livable Communities Initiative. So obviously, the mayor of Los Angeles know about these initiatives, which means what the future would look like in Los Angeles. She must have known. It had to have been discussed with her if City Council moves forward with Livable Communities Initiative. What are they? The 15-minute community could be coming to a neighborhood near you. Okay, let's talk about it. In the automobile-dominated United States, the concept of the walkable 15-minute city may seem like an inherently foreign concept, but it could be coming soon to Los Angeles neighborhood near you. This is 2022, folks. At its meeting yesterday, the Los Angeles City Council voted unanimously to adopt a motion to help implement the Livable Community Initiative, a proposal which was outlined in a program 131 in Los Angeles, recently certified housing element. The concept detailed in the late November news release aims to solve Los Angeles housing, traffic, safety, and climate woes. We don't believe there's any climate woes, folks. We just don't believe that. We believe that this is a built-in excuse to go forward and have people, what? Capitulate to their own demise, which means it gives the government more control and people less control over everything. See? If you don't have a car, they don't need you with a car, because a car can be used for many things. Getting away. Some people can turn their cars into protection when it comes to what? They can build things around their car to make it almost what? A combat vehicle. It's hard to do that with a bike. Right? So it sounds sweet, but this what I'm seeing here, Elder Lawyer, seems like a what? It seems like more so house arrest, where you have the optics of being able to operate freely, but really, you're really in jail.
Prison.
Right? It's a prison concept on the outside of prison. That's why they're seeking to move from the prison apparatus as we know, talking about prison reform, because they're looking to include all the cities as one big prison. So, folks, when they talk about dissolving something, it's not for releasing power. It's to consolidate more power. They don't need a prison complex if they can control you in a city that's a prison. Let's talk about it. The concept detailed in late November news release aims to solve LA's housing, traffic, safety, climate. So here it is. They're going to dissolve in their plans. Section 8 and all these others, that stuff's going to be dissolved. And in order to have housing, you're going to have to what? Be in compliance with the new smart rules in any of these cities. Right? You're going to have to comply. Now, there's more to it, but I just want to talk about areas now. Because I think, Elder Lawyer, it's more than a coincidence that all the so-called asylum cities where they let illegals into have similar plans for smart cities or 15-minute cities. Check this out. This, Elder Lawyer, from our own backyard, the Philadelphia Citizen. Now, doesn't this make you feel good? Ideas we should steal. The 20-minute neighborhood. Right? Doesn't this sound sweet? The 20-minute neighborhood coming from the Philadelphia Citizen. Right? Now, it's deep because, Elder Lawyer, while I was downtown, I remember this in about, 2 years ago. I go downtown, and it's near Chinatown. You know, you got Chinatown in Philadelphia.
Right.
And there was about 12 buses lined up, right? On like a 3-block radius, like 12 separate buses. And it seemed like these Asians came out of these buses, right? Folks, Elder Lawyer, I should have took pictures with my camera, but I didn't want to, make a fuss down there. I'm in Chinatown. These people look like they came straight out of a village of China. Some still had sandals on. And I'm talking about they had the orange thing going over here. And I'm like, these people aren't visitors. What is this? So there was a large number of illegals or people just being let into the country from China and all this right up under our noses. Okay, they weren't here just to visit. You can tell there was a purpose for them being here, but I've never seen it like this before. Right? And now I'm seeing this. They're letting all these people through here. Every place they have illegals and all these other strange people come from other places to replace our people. They're planning these particular cities, these prison cities. 20-minute neighborhood, right? Now, what I did was to make it convenient. Yeah, I saved this too, right? To make it a little sweet for you here so y'all can see everything. How about having all this in your local area? Doesn't this seem convenient? Local shopping centers, local health facilities, local schools, lifelong learning opportunities, local playgrounds and parks, right? Now listen to this. Green streets and spaces, community gardens. Oh, don't that sound nice? Sport and recreation facilities, safe streets and spaces, affordable housing options, ability to age in place, right? Places for the elderly, but you know what they're going to do to old grandmom and grandpop there. Okay. Now, of course, I heard Bill Gates says, well, some people call it the death panel, but we can't talk about that, right? Housing diversity, walkability, because they talk about taking your cars, safe cycling networks, local public transport, well connected to public transport and jobs and services with the region, local employment opportunities, local shopping centers. Doesn't this all sound nice? But here's the problem, Elder Lawyer. Suppose we don't like what's going on in our schools.
Right.
Suppose we realize that health care provided to those in the suburbs is clearly different than the housing, the medical and the housing and all that's provided to us in the inner cities. We come to find that the supermarkets on the outside of the inner cities have better food. Usually it's the old stuff that's about to expire that they give to the poor. So what if we don't want your health care that you're providing for us in the inner cities, and we want better health care, knowing that others on the outside with money usually have better facilities they have access to? So what they're not telling you, Elder Lawyer, with this is they're breaking the United States into colonies.
Exactly.
Which means if you're not from a specific, if your address falls into a specific region, the region on the outside of your region cannot service you.
Mm-hmm.
So suppose our people are getting targeted in any of these areas. We have no choice but to deal with what comes with being pigeonholed into those specific areas. Be it food, be it how you're getting diagnosed, what type of health care is being given to us opposed to other people. There is no choice now, because a lot of us have wised up, Elder Lawyer. What do I mean by that? A lot of us take our car and take a 40-minute trip into other areas to get food that they won't allow us to get in the inner city. And they're starting to recognize this.
Right.
A lot of us are saying, thank you, but no thank you to these doctors, these Asians and East Indians they now have as our doctors and nurses. And we are turning down the jabs and all that in the hospitals and doctors' offices, and they're noticing in this. And we're going into other areas to get health care where they're a little bit more lenient when it comes to us making a choice when it comes to our health care. And they're starting to recognize that also. So suppose they can tie that into your housing and say, well, okay, you can't get the housing unless you comply to the shots and to everything that comes with your 15 to 20-minute community. They're doing this so that what? There's no need for you to go outside of the invisible prison. They're making everything convenient because if you're being targeted, they'd rather it be within a system that's set up that no one can get out of. So now, hey, Elder Lawyer, they started doing it. They started testing this with what? The vaccine passports. Or saying, well, you can't get inside a restaurant unless you show your vaccine card.
Mm-hmm. Right.
that in of itself was training the population to be rejected when you go into another region and they'll ask you, okay, we see your address. You're not a part of this particular area, and our stores can provide the same thing in your area. Why are you here? We cannot serve you because you're outside of your region. Now, the danger of this, that now that you've been pigeonholed into a 15-minute, 20-minute city, at any time they can deem that area what? Contagious. And now quarantine that area outside of the normal United States population. And if it's quarantined under these certain rules, now police and or the army have to come in to secure that particular area to make sure the contagion stays contained. Huh? Are y'all following me here?
Like the scriptures say, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able.
Let's get that, Elder Lawyer. Let's get that.
Yes, sir.
Let's get that real quick. And that's in let's see, Second Ezra 16.
15.
15. Let's get it.
Yes, sir. Verse number 16.
Okay, let me get
17.
it. Let me grab that. Let's see it. Second Ezra's what? 15. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. We start at verse 16.
Second Ezra's 15, verse 16. Let's read it.
But there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able.
Read that again.
A man shall desire to go into...
Hold on. Go ahead. Read it again.
A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able.
And shall not be able. Tell me the Bible isn't real. This is why they don't want you to read the Bible or the Apocrypha in the churches. Our prophets were told this. This was 500 years before Christ was born. The Most High was giving us an insight, a window into the future. A man shall desire to go into a city and read.
And shall not be able.
And shall not be able. Let's read the 18th verse, then we'll go back.
Yes, sir. For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled. The houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid.
And houses shall be what?
Shall be destroyed.
Houses shall be, hold on, let's go back. Houses shall be destroyed.
And men shall be afraid.
And men shall be afraid. Are y'all getting it now? Are y'all seeing it now? See? So here it is, stuff is catching on fire, and it so happened they were telling us the whole time while we were looking one way, what their plan was for the next administration. The whole time. And see, me believing in the Bible and in Christ, I wasn't trusting anything they were saying on the news. None of it. Because I understand that the only thing you get from the news that I've seen is government spinning a story to have us look one way while they're putting something right up under us. Okay? And they use the media to spin it so so that we can accept something that we would normally reject. Or say, well, and start asking questions like, well, hold up, what you're saying, isn't that against my constitutional rights? My tax dollars is going towards my constitutional protection. Shouldn't these things stay in place when it comes to the protection of its citizens that they're paying their taxes? Seems like everything they bring forth is to take more from the people. You notice that? And they're trying to make this, Elder Lawyer, a benefit. Oh, yeah. Doesn't this sound convenient? 15-minute cities where you don't got to drive outside of your prison. You may find out that there's better schools. There's better food. There's better health care. See? And if we looking to target a demographic, we have to make sure you stand pat. We can't have you going all over the place when there's things in place to get rid of you right there. You'll start asking questions like, how is they being treated in the suburbs different than me when we both are paying taxes in the same country? See? So they realized our people started wising up, and we began to go into other areas to realize and start realizing how dysfunctional and how dangerous our neighborhoods are, and how they were made to be this way. So for the sake of self-preservation, we started saying, well, listen, let me go move over here and see how it is, and started realizing, well, hold up. What did we accept growing up as the norm? We started questioning everything. Like, this isn't right that they allow us to live in these conditions when there's an option not to. We started wising up. So now they're going to come up with a convenient scenario to say, you know what? We have to shut it down. The children of Israel are waking up, and they're not volunteering. They're not being voluntary subjects to their own demise. They see us now. So now, all of this right here, they need conveniently in an area. What they're not, and it's showing all these nice colors. What they're not showing you is how will this particular 20-minute neighborhood be enforced?
Right.
What do I mean by that? How are they going to stop me from going outside of this? No one is talking about that, but I'm going to go there in a moment. Because you have to ramp up what? A certain type of military force who's willing to enforce this. And guess who conveniently will volunteer for this? A lot of the so-called illegals who are already here. Why do you think they put Asians and other people in high political office already in these particular blue states? It's going to be the illegals. And you see how, Elder Lawyer, that Trump conveniently switched it up by the time he was about to get inaugurated. Instead of him talking about we need to get rid of everybody coming over these borders that doesn't have papers, he started, well, we got to get rid of the criminals.
Right.
He already is starting to pivot. Oh, we got to get rid of the criminals. That means people on record who have committed crimes that they can prove. What about everybody else? See? So you have some people who are conveniently being moved in place that will enforce the new 20-minute cities. Okay? Now, there's more. Look at this here. Looky here. All the cities where the illegals were let in. Let's make Denver a walkable 15-minute dense city. Look at this. Better builder. Denver, Colorado, another place where you had gangs going into apartment buildings and others, where illegals were let in. All of the so-called asylum areas are conveniently, there's a plan for all of them to conveniently become 15-minute cities. Denver, well in advance, right? New York City, This was April. What is a 15-minute city and how it's coming to New York City? Another asylum city. See? Are y'all following us here? So the question is, we know that fires was the convenience that was utilized to be able to progress what's going on in California because they have to build back. You're talking about rich. I'm talking about multi-billion-dollar territory have been burnt and they already are putting in, contractors are already putting in bids to rebuild. All right. So we know fires is allowing LA to go forward with their initiatives. And when they build back, they're not going to build back like it was. But what events must happen in Philadelphia, Denver, New York, and different areas that will allow those particular cities to come in? And that's what we have to start looking into. Will there be terrorist activity? I submit that looking into this, the easy way to transition into something like this would be if some type of terrorism was to happen in these areas. That they would get built back after the act under these new initiatives. Could that be? So we must keep our eyes on all of these 15-minute cities that have the initiative, because what I found out, Elder Lawya, let me show you. What I found out is that when they have plans such as this, Smart LA 2028, that there's some plans that was well in advance that would have it where what? The areas through catastrophe is leveled to build back quicker and smarter. Now, it's a convenience. I hate to put it that way, but it's a convenience there because they already had the brush waiting there without water that will allow these areas to burn as we're witnessing right now. But all the other cities don't have that. Okay, so, right, so we have to look at, okay, what catastrophic thing is going to happen in Philadelphia, New York, and other areas that would allow them to build back quicker before 2030. All right. What in particular? And we have to keep our eyes on it because what we found out is when they have these plans and discuss this in city council, they go forward with their initiatives, whether the citizens agree with it or not. Whether we agree with it or not, right? Now, Elder Lawya, I need you to get back to Edris real quick, if you may, right?
Okay, let's return now.
But before we go there, I want to check out some of the DEI hires that they put up as front people to be blamed, only so that these people can tag in the next people, the politicians in place who really have no power, right? So they can tag in the next people. Like, for instance, you notice, Elder Lawya, during COVID and all that, who was pushing the fear and all that on CNN and all on the news in New York? The Cuomo brothers.
Mm-hmm.
The Cuomo brother. One was, I think that one was mayor. He was a mayor of New York, and another Cuomo brother that was on CNN that got caught up with some mess, and they conveniently disappeared after they were the ones drumming up all of the fear that led to people going out, getting vaccines and all these others.
Mm-hmm.
And now they repackaged one of the Cuomo brothers, and he's coming in as a Republican now almost. Right? almost like a Republican holding the Democrats' feet to the fire, as if he wasn't a key component in drumming up fear during the time of the pandemic. So they'll just move their people out of the way for a minute so not to, get any shrapnel when people start saying, well, you the guy that were lying to us on CNN. Only to repackage them and bring them back later because they know the majority of people have a short memory. Okay? And I'm saying this because, folks, we have to stop looking at the actors and all these other people they have before us and understand Satan's full plan when it comes to the desolation against God's people so that we can navigate accordingly. So we're going to talk about how to navigate through this, but here it is. Check this out. Here are the people they're going to put out there that we can conveniently blame, which is crazy in of itself because these people wouldn't be running, these people wouldn't be running a hot dog stand in any other country.
Now to the devastating fires in Los Angeles. And we've been speaking about incompetence, but have a look at this. The diversity head of the fire department, Christine Larson, has come under fire for these recently resurfaced comments.
Is she strong enough to do this? Or you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire, which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
Look what they got over the fire department over there in LA. I don't think I have to say much here. And is it no wonder that we see this when this is in charge?
Oh, God. Let's bring in to discuss Adani Media's Lisa Goddard and News.com's deputy editor, Liz Burke.
Now, this is scripture too, Elder Lawyer. Because the Bible says in Revelation 17 that the 10 horns would make America barren naked and burn it with fire.
Mm-hmm.
It's exposing the nonsensical, I would say, mindset of the people that would vote in such, I would say, unqualified people to rule and lead them. The world's media is laughing at America. That's making her bare, exposing her as a joke. Elder Lawyer, we were in the Greek islands. We've been overseas and all that. Do you think they would hire her to be over anything?
Sir, no, sir.
Over anything that means the protection of lives of their citizens? Can you imagine? Because we lived in Egypt. Can you imagine them putting her over the fire department?
No, sir.
What about in the Greek islands or any other place we ever traveled? Would they put her over anything?
No, sir. Most likely not.
It'll be like, no, sis. A matter of fact, you got to go get your life together before you talk about doing anything. Where's your family at? What happened to you? You're not in the right headspace to lead anything going on over here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's what they would have told her. And guess what? She would have accepted why? Because what? We need people, what? Who's family oriented, in position to know what it is to protect our families. Because a country is just an extension of its families. Family is community. Communities become cities, and those cities become, it expands all the way out to the country. And guess what? I can't trust you to protect family when you have a problem with traditional family. No. We can't have you do none of that. Okay. There's a falafel shop up the street. You can roll falafels. Okay. Mm-hmm. Here's the flour, and you're gonna still get your life together. But get some gloves on and roll falafels. You are not going to be over anything, any administration that services people publicly like this. You will not embarrass us publicly. Nah, what I need you to do is roll falafels. Okay?
Of a fire, which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
Oh, God. Let's bring in to discuss Adani Media's Lisa Goddard and News.com's deputy editor, Liz Burke. Lisa, Liz, great to...
Oh, yeah, y'all. That's who they put over the fire department over there in L.A. I'm not even going to talk about the mayor and what she's into. Right?
Governor Newsom says that he has a new plan that will protect threatened fish species that he says are critical for the ecosystem across a good portion of California. Thanks for joining us for Fox 40 News at 5:30. I'm Eric Harriman.
And I'm Nikki Lorenzo, Fox 40 Capitol.
Yeah, a year ago, Elder Lawya. Just going through these real quick. A year ago, Gavin Newsom thought that he would help out the tribes by claiming that, okay, we're going to stop the dam and allow the waters to flow so that the salmon can survive. Well, by doing so, it took away the water reserves that would have been putting out the fires. Okay, we care about a few species of fish, but all the animals that have died in the wake of these of the forest fires and all these people who have been burnt out, guess what? Them having salmon was more important than people. Okay? So that's the built-in excuse they use to say, well, okay, that's why there wasn't no water, because Gavin Newsom a year ago was putting legislation in place that would make it where the water reserves wouldn't be there in the event of something like this. But you know what? You can get some salmon cakes.
Reporter Eitan Wallace explains what the governor is hoping to do and what he says will happen if action is not taken soon.
The roaring sound of rapids coupled with the sight of rushing water. You're looking at the Daguerre Point Dam along the Yuba River in rural Yuba County, north of Sacramento.
In the future, what do you mean by it?
Today, Governor Gavin Newsom toured a portion of the dam as he unveiled a plan to restore this part of the Yuba River, all in an effort to save threatened fish species, including the Chinook salmon, the steelhead, the green and white sturgeon, and the Pacific lamprey, all creatures who rely on this waterway for their habitat and eventual repopulation.
Here's the background on the fish species in question. The adults spawn way upriver in the cold Sierra Nevada, away from predators. Their babies then come all the way downriver to the ocean, where they live for a few years before they themselves come back upriver to spawn. Only problem, according to state leaders, that dam gets in the way.
This is important. This is about preserving a species for generations.
The fish...
See that? See me smiling? This is about protecting a species for generations. But what about the water reserves that would have been there to put out the fires? Folks, he conveniently did this all the years they had these dams. He conveniently made this choice to do so 1 year ago. Isn't that convenient? But you know what? This is what it's about right here. See? You got to make sure we preserve these fish that swim upstream, even though these fish are surviving regardless, folks, outside of that. But it's a convenient way of claiming you're saving the earth to close up water reserves that would have been used to stop this. You can't make this up. Okay? And again, I can understand them trying to do things to preserve life and all that, as far as the fish. But at the expense of people dying in fires?
Okay, you're going to save the fish. How many animals do you think died in that forest in California? How many deers have died? Huh? How many wild animals that they claim they're looking to preserve the forest for, who live in the forest? How many birds and all that have died? But you can get you can get a fish sandwich though. You see how the news, see what I'm saying, Elder Lawyer? You see how the news conveniently explain things off to make us accept something we would otherwise question? Because no one a year ago was questioning what is the consequences of you flowing these waters back for the fish. If you're not going to have water in the dams and a fire, which was actually predicted years ago would happen, was to conveniently happen a year from now, would there be water preserves to save these homes? Now, do you think Gavin Newsom, Elder Lawyer, knew anything about the, hold on, let me get it. You think Gavin Newsom knew anything about the Build Back Better Smart LA 2028 for Los Angeles? You think that he had an insight being governor over California that this was the plan going forward?
If I was a betting man, I would say yes.
I mean, he should know. The plan came out since December 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he would be totally incompetent not to know that this was the plan for LA for 2028. But how can you make that plan if you got these houses in position that people have no plans of moving out of?
Right.
Huh? So real quick, I'm going to go over a few things of what they're going to do. They said they was going to do it in 2020. Yeah. Connectivity and digital inclusion, digital services, governance, right? Smart cities. The soul of our recovery will shape the contours of our city's future for decades to come. We have a blueprint for the city of the future, says at this time in 2020, Mayor Eric Garcetti. April 19th, 2020, they had this plan for 2028. Now, in the other cities, they have the plans. They want the plan to be done by 2030. All right? Now, check out what was going on. The city of Los Angeles envisions a high digital and connected city in 2028. Why? Well, eventually for these smart cities, it's going to be about surveillance, right? The surveillance to make sure people are contained eventually through time and that you have to stay within your colony, okay? Now, let's go down. And of course, here it is. Let me go through it. Of course, SpaceX. There you go right there. See that? Elon Musk, SpaceX. Them traveling out into space and all that. That's a part of this initiative when you read into it. Right? And look how beautiful this is, right? See the plans? How technology makes us smarter. Efficient, ethical, secure, technology, data, and resources. Quality of life and sustainability. Residents, visitors, they got the whole thing planned for the new smart city that they plan to have in place, or at least beginning by 2028. That's only 3 years from now. And we know that's including the smart cities. Right? Permit positive. Proactive influence. Urban landscapes to improve residents' daily lives. Time and traffic lights to permit faster public transportation. It sounds all good, doesn't it? Okay? Less police because there will be digital surveillance. Okay? Less people working, even from law enforcement, because
When you drive, if you speed and or if what? If you speed or run a red light, guess what? They're already doing this in the UK. Hey, the fine is in the mail. Okay? They're already doing it in the UK. Less police. You run a light, you run a stop sign, everything will be surveilled. And guess what? They're going to tax people to a degree where they're not going to want to actually drive in LA because it's congested. And you're not going to have to, because the convenient plan to save the earth will be you must ride a bike. Okay? Here's the plan. Let's talk about it. Right? Components in digital connected Los Angeles. Smart city infrastructure. Smart city tools and practices. Smart city digital services and application. Smart city connectivity and digital inclusion. Smart city governance. To be governed in the controlled cities. And it's going into all the major cities, predominantly where the poor lives. Okay? An expansion of prison. Infrastructure. Folks, they had the whole plan in place since 2020. I'm reading it. The infrastructure, all of it. Now, how could they do that with some houses in place that that normally the people who are living in these expensive houses would never sell? They know these people aren't going to sell their houses. So it's almost convenient now that, that what's going on in LA isn't going to get in the way of progress. Okay? Data angels. Ain't that deep? What's data angels? I didn't see this one, Elder Lawyer. What is data angels? The plans for the city of angels. Check this out. Because I remember years ago when we did the mark of the beast, or path to the mark, we were talking about digital angels using satellites to track people.
Right.
Right? It was called Digital Angel, which is an actual company that had at that time patent the RFID chip they're seeking to chip people with. But let's see what this is. The Mayor's Data Angels initiative matches civic tech data enthusiasts with city programs requiring data and analysis support to realize high-value community outcomes. Working as cohorts, a diverse mix of data scientist volunteers from local universities. I bet you there's going to be a lot of foreign students for this. Established companies and startups partner with City of Los Angeles staff to solve real-world problems affecting the quality of life for Angelinos. From redefining new future of work methods to analyzing trends in transit, housing, construction, and preparation for the 2028 Olympics. Data angels use a lens of equity to scrape and mine data, stitch together insights, and provide policy recommendations as a viable City of Los Angeles accelerator. If you wouldn't know, Elder Lawyer, if we didn't know better, it seems as if they're trying to get rid of a certain demographic to make it where they cannot even afford to be here. Be there in LA. And on top of that, get everything primed by the time the Olympics come in 2028.
Exactly.
That's what it's looking like.
Mm-hmm.
So people in LA becoming so expensive, even if you're outside of the line of fire, no pun intended. They're making California so expensive that the majority of people in California who can't afford to be there are moving into other places. Don't forget, California is one of those rare states where the majority of people who live there are from somewhere else anyway. All right? So here it is. This is going to be one of the first, as we can see for those who missed it, this will be one of the first tests for the smart cities if what they're showing on these particular plans are correct. But we can look forward to, after this, other cities such as Philadelphia, New York, Denver, any asylum city. We can now look into and ask ourselves a question: what catastrophe will happen in these areas that will progress a smart city in other states and cities, like what we're seeing in LA? We understand that what's going on in LA right now can now pave the lane for them to go forward with these plans. Obviously, like I stated earlier, there is no threat of fire in certain areas, like in the East Coast and different areas. So could it be that there'll be terrorist acts in these areas where the asylum cities are, where asylums came in, and that will be the convenient Hegelian dialectic, the problem that will allow them to come with the smart cities or the prison cities in those particular areas? Who knows? But I think that's where it's going. So what must we do to navigate through this? And if you have anything to say, Elder Lawyer, let's go back into 2nd Ezra real quick to show where things are going. Right?
Yes, sir.
And how can we navigate through it? Right? Because like I mentioned earlier, folks. Oh yeah, Elder Lawyer, I forgot to show this. Because people probably didn't know this. When Los Angeles fires broke out, 117 million gallon Santa Ynez Reservoir near Pacific Palisades was empty. CBS News. Now, mind you, there's some rich people. There's a lot of rich people who paid into making sure they have water in the event of fires. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, 117 million gallon reservoir was empty. But don't worry about it. The salmons can swim upstream now, right? Now, Elder, listen, maybe all of this is just convenient. That it's just a perfect storm happened at one time, and it just, everything we just mentioned up until this point was just a coincidence.
Yep.
But I care to think not. Okay, I believe the people that are in position aren't this careless. I believe that everything is intentional and it's going right along as planned. All right? Hold on, Elder Lawyer. I believe it's going right along as planned, right? But I digress. Right? $117 million capacity reservoir not used during Palisades firefight. They went to hook the fire department went to hook their hoses to the hydrants, the fire hydrants, and guess what? Nothing came out. All right? And it's deep because this billionaire is Linda Resnick and her family, who owns 60 to 75% of the water in California. And these are billionaires who own this water, right? The Resnick's family, who own all of this water because, they have gardens that for different types of fruit and vegetables for the state, that they must make sure a certain amount of water is actually consolidated or kept for them to preserve their company's growth, livestock, gardens, farms. So they made sure that 60 to 75% of the water is controlled by them. One family. The Resnick family. Allegedly. All right? And again, if y'all didn't know, what's the benefit of this guy right here? An illegal who was given a bike and a torch. What was he promised if he could help progress these particular initiatives?
We brought this video to you yesterday. As you can see, that man who was holding a blowtorch was walking around a neighborhood when neighbors did approach him. This is, of course, over in Los Angeles County, and it appeared that he was trying to light different materials on fire. Eventually, all the neighbors show up, they take him to the ground, and then they do take him into custody as police arrive there. Now, we do know that he was arrested. However, he has not been charged in connection with any arsons at last check. Investigators saying they charged him with some other unrelated charges. But again, you can see the video there as he was approached by these neighbors who were paying attention and saw that he was holding a blowtorch and trying to light things on fire as they are dealing with all of these wildfires in the area. I do want to bring in Chris and Kim Sumner. Now, you're going to notice on the top right-hand side of your screen there, it does say the video is from Chris. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us here and discuss this just a little.
So here it is. You got plans to bring in something by 2028. You have fires conveniently breaking out, right? Conveniently, hold on. Fires conveniently breaking out in LA. Okay? And no one knows whether or not arson started this. They said it's still under investigation. No water to put out the fires conveniently, while there's plans to have all of this built back by 2028 under some smart city type thing, right? At the same time, reservoirs were empty because the governor of LA decided to stop the dam so that he can preserve a few species of fish only 1 year prior to all of this. So conveniently here, we're dealing with fires where there's no water to put it out. At the same time, there's a plan for initiatives. And then you got some people they call illegals who they found with a torch seeking to burn something that wasn't charged with arson. If you would, Elder Lawya, if you didn't know any better, you would think a foreign army invaded America and is seeking to destroy it from the inside out, if you didn't know any better. Because I'm still dealing with the original premise, and I know it's a little funny. I like to, put a little sarcasm with it sometimes. You have to laugh to stop from crying. That's why I wonder what happened if that was Lawya, Elder Lawya, on a bike with a Bible in his satchel, a torch in one hand, and they found him coming from behind the tree trying to burn up the neighborhood.
Right.
If it was you and I, can you imagine what that story would be? If it was one of us? So this is where we're going. And for those who would like to come in, I do have, hold on. Matter of fact, let me do this. For those who would like to come in, I hope it works. Hope it work. Hold on. Episodes. For those who would like to come in, delete. I'm going to try. I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm going to try, brothers and sisters, the blog talk. Going to see if it's going to work for us this evening. For those who would like to come in, 515-605-9327. Of course, blog talks will enforce. At the end of this month, there'll be no more blog talk, unfortunately, but we're paying for it, so I'm going to see if we can still use it. 1 second. Hold on. 1 second. (515-605-9327). Plans for the City of Angels, but it's really plans for all of the major cities in the United States. It's the same plan. But who knows what events they'll use to progress their smart cities in the other areas they conveniently let asylum seekers come into, right? Let's see here. So, Elder Lawya, while I'm setting this up real quick, I need you to go to 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter, where we are and what will happen and what must we do to make it through this. Is all in this particular chapter. 1 second. Okay, I was able to get Blog Talk back. 1 second before we read that. I'm just going to quickly name this fire. All right, it's 7. Go live now. What about that? That'll work. Fire. Wake up, Israel. Okay, for those who like to come in, 515-605-9327. So we have to keep our eyes on a swivel to understand that there may be some events coming into these particular cities where the asylum seekers are, and to make sure that we're not caught up when it all happens. One second. Yep, we're ready. All right, let's go there real quick, Elder Lawya.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm there. We can pick it up from wherever you want. Let's go to 2nd Ezra 15. And let's.
Oh, you want 15 or 16?
Let's start at the 15th chapter and the 16th verse.
Yes, sir. 2nd Ezra 15 and 16. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power.
Read.
A man shall desire to go into a city, and shall not be able.
A man shall desire to go into a city, and what?
And shall not be able.
And shall not be able. Y'all doing a great job. We have over 2,400 in. Thank you. I showed earlier for those who missed it, brothers and sisters, how conveniently after the fires, there's a plan for smart cities in LA, where you'll have all of your amenities within a 15-minute range, whether healthcare, entertainment, food, and it all sounds sweet. But when you realize you can only operate within that region, living in the United States, you're going to realize it's just what? An expansion of the prison system. Folks, you can get everything in prison. They got entertainment there. They got recreation there. They got commissary, where the idea of Walmart came from, one-stop shopping. They have cafeteria, but the cafeteria is going to be the food and people being able to deliver food and all that, but you're going to be confined into those areas where you're not going to have any choice concerning your health care or the food within those particular parameters. The liberty of going into another area will be limited to where if you don't show, when you show where you're from, you're not going to be able to actually get any product outside of this particular parameters. Okay, perimeters. Not parameters, perimeters. So here it is. If I'm looking at this sketchy doctor from East India somewhere, and I'm like, no, I don't trust this guy, and I'm looking to get some health care from the outside of that, they're going to be like, well, no, you're restricted to that doctor. See? If I'm looking sideways when it comes to those jabs they give to our people opposed to other people, I'm not going to have no choice but to deal with what they're administering in those areas. Bad food, bad schools, now you're restricted.
Mm-hmm.
See? See, they talk about the smart cities, but you very rarely hear of how they're going to enforce people using these cities. Okay? So it sounds convenient. But this is just what? Turning a whole area into an expansion of prison. Okay? That's all it is. The optics of freedom. Okay? For those who missed it, I just wanted to fill you in there. Right? Let's go back to the Bible here. Let's read it.
Yes, sir. Verse number 19 or verse 18. For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled. The houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid.
The houses shall be destroyed, and the men shall be afraid. All right? Now in LA, it's convenient that the brush that wasn't cleaned up for over 4 decades was a combustible scenario that allowed them to go on with the plans, knowing that now these houses will not be in the way of progress. But what combustible will they use in the other cities? Could it be terrorism? Trump already stated months ago that terrorists were led into the country, right? He've already seeded that in the minds of the people, saying these illegals, they're criminals, terrorism, so that now they have a built-in excuse to blame others for when something happens in one of these other solemn cities that they plan, smart cities, many years prior to the time some event might happen. Your 15-minute or 20-minute cities conveniently are the same cities the asylum seekers or the immigrants were led into by the Democrats. See? It's going to already be built in. Folks, already they blamed the guy who they claim ran over some people in New Orleans. Fox had a report that that guy was from the Nation of Islam. Did you hear that one, Elder?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard that one.
Already moving the optics of terrorism from Muslim extremists and putting it on black people like I told you they was going to do even before YouTube. That it was never about terrorists from the outside of the country. It was a way of demonizing those who would know the truth, to call people what? Religious extremists. Right? So eventually they're going to go from Muslim, and they're going to have one of these cats, who knows, probably some actor or some guy Manchurian candidate that they have from another country that are already being prepped to put on a purple shirt or put on something that look like an Israelite and claim jihad and claim that he's an Israelite and he's going to blow something up. Look for that too. Okay? Look for them to do that next. Read on.
18, for because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled.
Come on.
The houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation.
For the lack of bread and what?
And for great tribulation.
For the lack of bread. Because they're going to come up with claiming some of these events, they're going to claim, brothers and sisters, is getting in the way of food, of the food chain.
Mm-hmm. Food production.
Exactly. How much of the food production that's coming out of California now is going to affect the travel or the foods that were promised to come into some of our areas? See? Farms and all that was burned down over in California. So there's a what? There's a domino effect. Right? So then for a lack of bread, people are going to do what? People are going to now turn on one another. That's the Bible. There'll be no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and great tribulation. Right? How much money they got to pay to clean this up and to build, and where that money is coming from? Well, it's coming from the treasury. Well, to build back, printing money out of the treasury causes what? Inflation, which devalues the dollar. To where now what your dollar can buy now will not be able to buy the same product down the line for the same price. So now the poor are getting squeezed even more based on something that had nothing to do with us. Domino effect. Read.
Yes, sir. 20. Behold, saith God, I will call together all the kings of the earth to reverence me, which are from the rising of the sun, from the south, from the east, and Libanus, to turn themselves one against another and repay the things that they have done to them.
Leading to the battle of Jehoshaphat. So at the same time all these things are going on in the earth, brothers and sisters, guess what's happening? The Most High is stoking the war that will lead to the fall of all these nation powers. All these nation powers will begin to fall. Read.
21. Like as they do this day unto my chosen, so will I do also, and recompense in their bosom, thus saith the Lord God.
Because they gave the children of Israel no rest, stayed at war against us to keep us oppressed on the bottom. The Most High now is stoking scenarios politically well above us where the nations are going to start fighting against one another.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something happening. This thing is being orchestrated on another level. This is how the Most High began to free his people, because the nations who were on code with one another against us, what happens when they start fighting against one another? See? That alliance is getting broken while the Most High is freeing his people. See, there's another element in this that we must understand. Another element. That this is how the Most High began to free his people.
Mm-hmm.
Through all of this. Read on.
Verse number 22. My right hand shall not spare the sinners, and my sword shall not cease over them that shed innocent blood upon the earth.
Read.
The fire is gone from his wrath, and have consumed the foundation of the earth, and the sinners like the straw that is kindled.
Read. So a lot of these destructions is for amendment, where the fire is being used to destroy the wicked. A lot of people in Hollywood, these rich, they thought that they were what? They thought that they were insulated from any harm happening to them. They thought that they were totally insulated, that nothing could take them down. They have generational wealth and all that. And now you hear Mel Gibson. He's even pointing out the wickedness and what's going on in Hollywood when it comes to what's going on with the fires. But guess what? He had a hand in some of the deception that was put out there, putting Cedric Bourgeois up, a white man, up to be Christ in the Passion of the Christ. Okay? A lot of what he did was a part of what? The delusion through Hollywood that began to harm so many people spiritually. So they thought they were insulated from all of this. And now you hear all the rich are losing everything, compromising their morality to trick the world. So in this, yeah, we know Gavin Newsom and all that ain't right. We know what they're planning isn't right. But the Most High is still bringing judgment through it to those who've always opposed him. See? They compromised themselves and thought, oh, I'm in Hollywood, I'm away from the harm and all of that. And the Most High is saying, well, no, you're not getting away either. And next thing you know, it's up in smoke. Okay? And guess what? They're starting to realize that they're just as vulnerable as anyone else living here in America or on earth. They cannot escape, and they're starting to feel the heat. They're starting to realize, okay, we're not as special as we thought we were. P. Diddy in jail. The rich houses is getting leveled right now. And the Most High is telling you right here, the fire is going forth. The fire is going forth from his wrath, and have consumed the foundation of the earth, and the sinners like the straw that is kindled. Read.
Yes, sir. If I can mention real quick, that's why it tells us back in verse 18, for because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled.
There you go. The city shall be troubled. Read.
24. Woe to them that sin and keep not my commandments, saith the Lord. I will not spare them. Go your way, ye children, from the power. Defile not my sanctuary.
So this should be space for repentance. If you've paid all this money to insulate yourself, and now fire comes out of nowhere. See? You thought that, okay, I've done everything to secure myself. I've paid my insurance. I've done this. If something happens, I'm good. And the insurance company knocks on the door and says, by the way, as of now, doesn't matter how many premiums you've paid, we will not insure your home in the event of fire. Out of nowhere. You paid your insurance. You've done everything you thought you could do to protect yourself from such an event as this. And then someone knocks on your door and say, by the way, you're not protected. If anything, people should start looking at this and saying, well, okay, this is space for repentance because it's California today. But obviously there will be events in other areas that will lead to this. And no one will look at 2nd Ezra's Elder Lawya in the 15th chapter and say it what? God told us this would happen. That the prophets wrote this. And we must do something to be protected and hedged through it. None of us is going to stop it. We're using the Bible to report real time from a heaven's view what's going on. So that when it does happen, even though the enemy is being used in all this too, that we can get navigated. We can be moved through all of this unscathed. Okay? No one is shielded 100%. And these guys got all the money in the world. And the rich are outside crying and operating right now as vulnerable as a homeless person walking in LA. Now think about this on top of this. Fires are burning down their houses. At the same time, they are shaking. Their knees are shaking, not knowing whether or not a video will be released that they thought didn't exist, being 1 or 2 nights at Diddy's home. So imagine what the rich are thinking right now who thought that they were protected. Houses are burning down on top of your housing. At any time, you know that a video that will be released or might get released that will destroy anything you got left. Judgment is coming after the powerful, against the powerful right now. That's another layer of this, outside of what they're planning. Let's go, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. 26. For the Lord knoweth all them that sin against him, and therefore delivereth he them unto death and destruction. For now are the plagues come upon the whole earth, and ye shall remain in them.
So the Most High is saying, well, listen, they're going to come upon the whole earth. And we're going to be here when it happens. The same way the people in LA, Elder Lawyer, are there.
Right.
They're there. He said, you're going to remain in them. Now, either you're going to understand that judgment is coming and do what? Fall under the guidance of the Almighty and understand that only the Most High can guide us through this, or be taken away through the plagues. He says you're going to remain in them. Read.
For now are the plagues come upon the whole earth, and ye shall remain in them, for God shall not deliver you, because ye have sinned against him.
Because you have sinned against the Almighty. And how many people out there are repenting to the Most High in California, praying to the Most High to preserve him through this? How many? Not that many. Read.
28. Behold, an horrible vision and the appearance thereof from the east.
Read.
Where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots.
With many chariots. Read. And this is talking about what? Planes. When it's talking about chariots, it's speaking of planes. Read.
And the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon earth.
That's how you know that the prophets are talking about future technology. Because chariots is what, at that time, in ancient times, is what people use to do what? To actually transport or to roll on the ground. Right? To be able to maneuver on the ground, chariots were made for. But he says these particular chariots shall be carried as what? As the wind upon earth. Flying. See? Read.
That all they which hear them may fear and tremble.
Read.
Also the Carmanians, raging in wrath, shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come and join battle with them, and shall waste a great portion of the land of the Assyrians.
Like we seeing over in the Middle East right now. Read.
And then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature.
Come on.
And if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them, then shall these be troubled, bled, then these shall be troubled, bled, and keep silence through their power, and shall flee. And from the land of the Assyrians shall the enemy besiege them, and consume some of them, and in their host shall be fear and dread and strife among their kings.
Among their kings, speaking of the Middle Easterns, the people, the Ishmaelites and others who have aligned themselves with Esau against us. Well, the Most High is bringing them in the war at the same time. Read. And when you go into the Carmanians are the Persians. Iran. So we're going to be hearing about all these events. Almost every week we're going to hear about something new where fire is happening. And at the end of this, the fire leaves the Middle East and it comes here to Babylon. The Carmanians are the Iranians. Read.
20 or 34. Behold, clouds from the east and from the north unto the south, and they are very horrible to look upon, full of wrath and storm.
Read.
They shall smite one upon another, and shall smite down a great multitude of stars upon the earth.
And this is talking about the technology we see not too long ago, where Iran was shooting missiles over there to Israel, and Israel was knocking them out of the sky. Well, back there in prophetic times, what is Ezra seeing? He's seeing what he believes or think are stars because they look like stars, but he's seeing the future technology where a missile has the power to knock down another missile. He's seeing what? The future wars that lead to all of the powers of the earth coming down at once before the rise of the children of Israel. That's what the prophets were seeing. What we see is trouble and war. But from the heavens, this is how the children of Israel are freed. The nations who have conspired against us to keep us down, well, guess what? What happens, like I mentioned earlier, what happened when they start fighting one another? See? They lose a grip on their conspiracy against us, and the children of Israel begin to rise above the ashes. That's what's going on. But how many of us are going to fall to the fires in the war through fear? And who's that remnant that makes it through the fire is the question. Because guess what? No one's getting off this earth. Okay? Let me make it clear. All of this, what we're mentioning, is going to happen and is happening on earth. And I don't care what Elon Musk tell you. There's no getting off this. Esau's trying to escape through space travel. They're trying to send stuff up there to think they can get off earth. That's all in the Bible where Satan promised he would go to the sides of the north. But folks, there's only one earth. There is no place on Mars you can live and exist outside of Earth's prophecy. Don't believe the news. The earth is the only habitation that was meant for man, and man cannot live on the outside of it. We're going to have to be through this, be here, and go through it. Many people, through fear and lack of faith, are going to fall. And there's going to be a specific remnant who understand what's really going on that's going to make it through this. I can't be like, oh my God, what's going on? Iran, this, that, and the other. What are we going to do? Trust in the Almighty. Believe in Christ, who was standing there with the three brothers. Okay, when you read in the Old Testament, in the book of Daniel, and in the Old Testament, where they standing in the furnace, but the furnace was cool while Christ guided them through the heat of the furnace. Okay, we're going to have to trust in him and realize that guess what? He can preserve us through this. Do not panic, and don't let other people panic you. And obviously, this old saying, I'm not going to let your fears affect me. Okay? If you're scared, go get a dog. But don't sit here and try to get mad at me because I'm not as afraid as you are. Okay? The scaredest person in the room is the weakest person in the room. And if somebody trying to move, oh, this is going to happen, you better, I can set you up and I can do something for you. You better hurry up and do something. That person right there, I'm going to tell you right now, brothers and sisters, that person will compromise you in every which direction. Don't ever get moved through fear. I want to put that out there, okay? Because you got a lot of grifters out there, overseas and all that, y'all. Yeah, you better come over with me and help me pay my rent because something is about to happen over there. You listen, have strength in Christ and stand on solid rock and don't be moved through fear. Okay? I'm going to tell you all that right now. Let's go, Elder Lawyer. They shall smite one another.
Yes, sir. They shall smite one upon another, and they shall smite down a great multitude of stars upon the earth.
Come on.
Even their own star. And blood shall be from the sword unto the belly.
And blood shall be from the sword even to the belly. 35. Speaking of what? The warfare in the earth. And dung, read.
And dung of men unto the camel's hoof.
And dung shall be of men unto the camel's hoof. Many dying through war. Read.
And there shall be great fearfulness and trembling upon earth. And they that see the wrath shall be afraid, and trembling shall come upon them.
Read.
And then shall there come great storms from the south, and from the north, and another part from the west. And strong winds shall arise from the east, and shall open it, and the cloud which he raised up in wrath, and the stars stirred to cause the fear toward the east and west wind shall be destroyed.
Come on.
And great and mighty clouds shall be puffed up full of wrath, and the star that they shall make all the earth afraid.
It's speaking of eventually it's speaking of nuclear hits. Nuclear hits. Read.
The great and mighty cloud shall be puffed up full of wrath, and the star that they may make all the earth afraid, and them that dwell therein. And they shall pour out over every high and eminent place an horrible star.
Read.
Fire and hail and flying swords and many waters, that all fields may be full, and all rivers with the abundance of great waters.
Come on.
And they shall break down the cities and walls, mountains and hills, trees of the wood, and grass of the meadows, and their corn. And they shall go steadfastly unto Babylon, and shall make her afraid.
So the war is going to go from the Middle East, then it's going to come here to Babylon. So that fire in California is really a microcosm of what's to come. It's only a microcosm. Read.
They shall come to her and besiege her. The star in all wrath shall they pour out upon her.
And this is speaking of after they declare war with Iran. After they declare war and strike war with Iran, the Khomenians are going to bring the war from the Middle East to America. That's prophecy. Read. Then shall the dust
and smoke go up unto heaven, and all they that be about her shall bewail her.
Shall bewail her. That's when people will be looking on the outside of her, knowing that, okay, Babylon the Great is done. There's no more trading with this particular country. The trades are finished. Us getting rich off of America is done. That's when, at this point, Revelation 18 come into play. But in the midst of this, we have time before that happens. But I'm showing you, this fire is just a sign. It's a sign. Because in all the places where there's asylum seekers, they're going to have other events that's going to go on that's going to lead to fire, that's going to have them implement their plans against our people in these cities. Whether it be people doing certain things and try to blame it on ISIS and all these others, guess what? It's still going to be the same outcome, fire. One asylum city after the next, you're going to hear that something happened and now they must implement something for the sake of security. But then in the midst of all that, Israel, and we know that's Rome, is going to continue to stoke this war against Iran, the Khomeinians, and that's when the fire is going to hit parts of the Middle East, Israel, and then it's going to come back to America because America was backing Israel. That's scripture. And at that point, what happens? We've said it a billion times. When America is struck, because all of the nuclear plants are on a fault line, it's going to have a ripple effect. As soon as it hit America, boom, it's going to cause a great earthquake, and the domino effect is all the nuclear reactors are going to go off one. Boom, 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 all from the East Coast to the West Coast, and then it's a blackout. And when that happens, that's when it gets really real. Now, we have time before we get there. What I've just mentioned is Revelation 16 and 19, when it says something will come like a weight, drop into Babylon and break her into three pieces. But we have some time for that, but it will happen. Okay, so it's not going to take bombs being hit all over the place. It's going to take one thing hitting the fault line. And the domino effect is all the nuclear reactors on the fault line are going to go off one at a time. And that's when it gets real. So we're not going to stop any of these prophecies. They're going to happen. The question is, where are we in the spirit? Where do we stand with the Most High when it goes down? Because only He can help us. Only He can guide us through it. And that's why the Bible states what? Be like pilgrims in those days. Because I'm going to tell you, this is how it happens, folks. One day, everything is fine. And then out of nowhere, fire. Folks, just over a month ago, someone was living here. Now, you tell me whether or not the people who are living here know the difference between whether or not the force did this. What difference? It's the same outcome. Whether a forest fire did this or a foreign enemy dropped a bomb, it would still be the same outcome. Fire. They was out here. They were cooking out. They had the family over for the holidays. You name it, they were doing this probably a month and a half ago with no idea that this would be the outcome in only a few months. And folks, that's how it happens. So we must prepare ourselves for the long game. Out of nowhere, guess what? It can change fast for anyone. And this is why we have to also look into what are the signs that we need to learn from this. Because guess what? This house probably had, these are rich people too. They probably had 3 years of food and supplies in store in their home. They probably had weapons to protect their home. They probably had everything, water reserve, food, and I don't discourage that. We promote making sure people are prepared. But do they have a plan to survive beyond this, even if what they stored, went up in fire? Did they have another plan? That's what we can learn from this, folks, because they probably was prepped up. They probably had jars, cans. They probably had dry goods. What good is any of this if they didn't have a second plan? And then what good is the second plan or any plan if you don't have Christ? If you don't have Christ. What if you need to be on just your feet with nothing at all? Will you make it? Elder Lawya, if you will. So,
yes, sir.
So I'm saying this because a lot of these people in Malibu and rich, you would believe they have all the money to be able to get anything they want that could sustain them through catastrophes. You would think. But folks, I'm going to drop something on y'all, folks. And listen to me and listen to me good. We look at rich people and all that money they have and say, well, you know what? Of course, it doesn't matter what happens to them there because they can always pivot based on the money they have, right? But because we're thinking that they're paying bills at the level we're paying bills. Okay? Understand that based on the lifestyle they live, where it takes $100,000 or $200,000 a month just to sustain one property. Folks, you have to think about this. It takes to sustain one of their properties more than what the house costs sometimes within 2 or 3 years. Well, they're only what? A few payments away from being as broke as you, based on their expenses.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have their expenses. So we're looking at all the money and saying, oh my God, they can always make another choice. Not if your lifestyle, not if where you're living, where you're currently sustaining or living costs $1 million a year to sustain it, or $2 million a year to sustain it. So that'll put them in the poorhouse as quick as you with $1,000 rent. You don't have their expenses. And you'll look up and say, what happened to you? Well, I was living here and my expenses was up there, right? And I can no longer afford it. I'm living in the house and a fire came out of nowhere and now I'm not insured. Biden and Kamala just sent me a check for $770. And that's a $15-20 million house that now I only got $770. Okay. And then on top of that, they say, well, listen, I just paid $30 million not to have my name circulated in the P. Diddy fiasco. Right? And I'm paying lawyers to keep this thing off my back. I don't have the opportunities I had before. Now that things are drying up and they hiring international athletes, international actors. Hollywood isn't paying the same. So the next thing you know, Robert De Niro will be living next door to you. Okay. That's how it works.
Right.
That's how it works, folks. Elder Lawya, let's go be like pilgrims.
Yes, sir. All right, 2 Ezra 16 and verse number, let's see. Uh, 16 and 40. In fact, I started verse number 39.
Yes, sir.
It says here, in fact, 38. As when a woman with child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son, with 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains compass her womb, which pains when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment.
Read.
Even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the whole world shall mourn, and sorrows shall come upon it on every side.
Read.
O my people, hear my word, make you ready to the battle, and in those evils be even as pilgrims upon the earth.
Be as pilgrims upon the earth. Realize, guess what? In the event that something happens, be ready just to survive with what's on your back if need be. That means don't lock yourself down to any particular place that you're living or residing and think that, guess what? For no reason, you can't let it go. That's how they're going to get a lot of people trapped, by having them compromise themselves just to stay in the little dwellings they'll have for people. You have to compromise everything. You're going to have to deal with the healthcare system and making sure your children get these shots and all these others just to have a place to stay. The Bible says, listen, before compromising yourself, be ready just to walk away. And know that you're being guided. Be like pilgrims. I know what it is. Just put everything down and say, listen, I don't have anything. The Most High, you got me. Show me what you want me to do. Guide me. And guess what? Went through the whole earth unscathed. Had to use what the Most High put in me. More so the Holy Spirit and the mind of no fear to understand the earth. The earth is the Most High's footstool. So it's nothing for me to say, you know what? Whatever this is, there's places, there's abodes, any place in this earth. I'm not going to allow this place, any place that I'm laying my head to become my tomb. The Bible says, be like pilgrims in those days. Be ready to walk away. And know that the Most High has you. Know that you're good. Read.
He that selleth, let him be as he that fleeth away, and he that buyeth, as one that will lose.
The Most High is saying, I'm free in Israel. Understand that anything you got, eventually you're going to lose anyway. Because what? I'm calling you home. You will reside in Zion. See? So be able to let something loose to receive home, Zion. Read.
42. He that occupieth merchandise, as he that have no profit by it.
Understand that listen, you may have merchandise that you can sell, that's good. But understand, you may have some merchandise that, you know what, you may not get nothing from. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Read.
And he that buildeth as he that shall not dwell therein.
He that buildeth as he that shall not dwell in. Understand that where you live, one day you may be someplace else. None of us here, majority of us, are living in the same place or the same house we were raised in. Okay? So we've adjusted ourselves to adapt without even realizing it. It's going to come a time, and guess what? That time will be the last time you're sleeping in Babylon. And it's going to be okay. You'll be sleeping somewhere else, protected by the Almighty. Read.
He that soweth as if he should not reap. So also he that planteth the vineyard, as he that shall not gather the grapes. They that marry, as they that shall get no children, and they that marry not, as the widowers. Therefore they that labor in vain. For strangers shall reap their fruits, and spoil their goods, overthrow their houses, and take their children captive.
Sound like immigrants. Sound like the immigrants to me. Replacing everything that belonged to us. Replacing everything with them. Read.
For in captivity and famine shall they get children.
Read.
And they that occupy their merchandise with robbery, the more they deck their cities, their houses, their possessions, and their own persons, the more will I be angry with them for their sin, saith the Lord. Like as a whore envieth a righteous and virtuous woman, so shall righteousness hate iniquity when she decketh herself, and shall accuse her to her face when he cometh that shall defend him that diligently searcheth out every sin upon earth.
Now let's go all the way down, Elder Lawya.
Yes, sir. You want me to read it all the way through?
No, let's go all the way down to 75.
Yes, sir. 75. Be ye not afraid, neither doubt, for the Most High is your guide.
Read that again.
Be ye not afraid, neither doubt, for the Most High is your guide.
Don't be afraid. The Most High has us through all of this. Don't panic. And I see some people say, hey, elders, when are we going to flee? Listen, again, if we thought that this was going to happen tomorrow, you think we would be in Babylon teaching you? Okay? So if you don't see us panic, you don't panic. Relax. We do have time. We have time. Don't let anyone on the outside panic you. You'll regret it. Be ye not afraid, neither doubt. Read.
For the Most High is your guide.
Read.
And the guide of them who keep my commandments and precepts.
Here's the key. Christ will guide them who keep his commandments and the precepts, the word of God. Read.
Saith the Lord God.
And what?
Let not your sins weigh you down.
Don't let your sins weigh you down.
And let not your iniquities lift up themselves.
Read.
Woe be unto them that are bound with their sins, and covered with their iniquities, like as a field is covered with bushes.
Because now this person cannot see clear to be guided. They can't see clear. Read.
Like as a field is covered over with bushes, and the path thereof covered with thorns, that no man may travel through. It is left undressed, it is cast into the fire to be consumed therewith.
To be consumed therewith. Guess what? The Most High guides the righteous through the fire, regardless of what the enemies are trying to do. The Most High is telling us what to do to be guided, even if the fires come to where? In the city you reside. Even through the fire that will come after the war in Iran. The Most High said he will guide us through it. He did it before with us coming out of Egypt. And he's going to do it again. He guided Lot and Lot's family out of Sodom and Gomorrah before the fire hit. Now the question is, do you believe you serve that same God? Do you believe in his son? Well, if so, the opportunity is before you to be baptized in the name of Christ and to receive that protection and to receive that guidance. That's our only saving grace. Well, that concludes our broadcast. Well, our questions, our points on the plans for the city of angels. Obviously, Elder Lawya, obviously they told us that Blog Talk will end January 31st, but for some reason we're not getting service now, but it's okay. I'll open up, I will open up the Zoom temporarily for those who would like to come in, right? In the meantime, I would like to make another announcement that yes, we're open for a new enrollment period for the Hebrew and Bible Academy starting February 16th with some brand new lessons. This time we're going to swap out the doctrine of Christianity and we're going to go directly into the true doctrine to the Gentiles. You got Christians who are claiming that Gentiles, it's no difference between them and Israelites, and they'll have equal promise in the land when Christ returned, which is a lie. We're going to straighten that lie out, which is really the foundation for replacement theology. We're going to throw that garbage out because we're not saying Gentiles cannot be saved. Okay? But there's a specific doctrine to the Gentiles that we're going to make crystal clear in this lesson. And we're going to throw out that nonsense that Israelites are teaching, talking about Gentiles can't be saved, which is utterly ridiculous. Okay? Utterly ridiculous. You got the Christians dealing on the Gentile side, and you got the Hebrews dealing with just the Israelite side without understanding the mysteries of the Gentiles. And I'm going to be breaking that down. And we're going to be more so concentrating on who? The natural Gentiles. What is their place concerning Christ's kingdom? We never did a lesson specifically on the Gentiles. And we'll do that in the next academy. Also, the origin of angels will be a lesson. The ranking angels, their positions against the fallen angels. The witches, warlocks, and sorcerers worship, burn candles like the Catholics to idols, to the fallen gods under the spirit of invocation. Okay? They deal with the dark science connected to fallen angels on this earth. We don't deal with that. We deal with the Most High in Christ, and Christ direct the angels who are ministering spirits for the righteous. And we're going to show you how that works when it comes to the true understanding of angels. We're going to also go the origin of angels, the reason Adam fell, the true understanding of the Antichrist. Okay, there will be no one man popping up. Forget about it. Okay, there's many Antichrists, and we're going to break that down in the academy and more. I hope you all will be a part of the academy. Go to historytimes.org to enroll. Obviously, Blog Talk, they have grabbed our money and ran without giving us service, but they've helped us up until this point, so I'll leave that there. Right? And what I'll do is, brothers and sisters, there's a Zoom for those who would like to come in. We'll only be here for 20 minutes, and that will conclude our broadcast for this evening. So, you see their plans, and they will accomplish these plans. All right. But again, they're not going to tell you when the fire comes what it's really about. LA was able to do it. Elder Lawya, it's up to you whether or not you want to take a break while I bring people in. It's up to you. I'll just do this for about 20 minutes and on Zoom, and then we'll conclude for this evening. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Now, again, like I mentioned earlier, that there's a plan for 15 to 20-minute cities to control the populations where our people live. Okay? What's going on in LA is opening the lane for them to do that by 2028. And all of the asylum cities are the same cities where they let these people in, are the same cities that we will see events happen within the next 4 to 6 years that would lead to them implementing prison cities throughout the whole United States. That's really the end game. They use the forest fires in LA, but they're going to use other events, and I believe it will be terrorist acts for fire to implement that in other cities where the asylum, the so-called illegal dreamers are, okay, have been brought in. So keep your head on a swivel. Stay prayed up and sin not. We have Simeon.
Before you bring him in, Lawya, Elder.
Yeah.
Yeah, before you bring him in, before I step away for a second, that point you just made, and I think this is a point that you made several times throughout the course of this broadcast. For those who think that this is far-fetched, that governments would either use conflict, chaos, or even tragedy, either use an organic tragedy or conflict or chaos, or create chaos, conflict, or tragedy as a means to bring forth an agenda, or even in this case, we're talking about them using this tragedy as a means to sequester or take over land that they already have plans to use for a particular purpose. For those who think this is far-fetched, I want to go to a quick scripture just to show an example. The Bible says that the things written aforetime are written for our learning. It also tells us that there's nothing new under the sun. So this tactic is actually not a new tactic. It goes back to the ancient world, and you wouldn't believe who is documented in the Bible as one who would use such a tactic to, again, use conflict, chaos, or tragedy to take over land. Real quick, I'm going to go to the book of 1 Kings 21, verse number 1.
Okay, let me go there so they can see it. 1 Kings what?
1 Kings 21, verse 1.
Okay, I'm there.
It says here, and it came to pass after these things that Naboth, the Jezreelite, had a vineyard, which was in Jezreel, hard by the palace of Ahab, king of Samaria. So you had Naboth, who owned a nice parcel of land, in which he had his own vineyard. But it states that this vineyard was right next. It was close-knit next to the palace or the home of King Ahab. Now, we know that King Ahab was who? He was famous for being the husband of Jezebel. Check this out. And Ahab spoke unto Naboth, saying, Give me thy vineyard, that I may have it for a garden of herbs, because it is near unto my house. So he wanted this man's vineyard so that he could create his own garden, right? And I will give it thee for a better vineyard than it. Or if it seem good to thee, I will give thee the worth of it in money. Now, you mentioned earlier, bringing it forward to today in the topic we're talking about, you spoke about people who are living in some of these areas that need to be used or that the government wants to use for a specific purpose. And some of these people are not willing to sell or give away their land for whatever reason. Check this out. And Nadab said to Ahab, The Lord forbid it me, that I shall give the inheritance of my fathers unto thee. So Naboth said, no, I'm not going to sell you the vineyard. I'm not going to take another piece of land, because this is the inheritance of my fathers. This land was passed down to me, and I'm going to keep this land. Verse 4. And Ahab came into the house, heavy and displeased, because of the words which Naboth the Jezreelite had spoken to him. And for he had said, I will not give thee the inheritance of my fathers. And he laid down upon his bed and turned his face away and would not eat bread. Now this is where Jezebel comes into play. Verse 5. But Jezebel his wife came to him and said unto him, Why is thy spirit so sad, that thou eatest no bread? And he said unto her, Because I spake unto Naboth the Jezreelite, and said unto him, Give me thy vineyard for money, or else, if it please thee, I will give thee another vineyard for it. And he answered, I will not give thee my vineyard. And Jezebel his wife said unto him, Doest thou now govern the kingdom of Israel? In other words, are you not the king of Israel? Can you not obtain anything you want? Arise and eat bread, and let thine heart be merry. I will give thee the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite. So she wrote letters in Ahab's name and sealed them with this seal, and sent the letters unto the elders and to the nobles that were in his city, dwelling with Naboth. And she wrote in the letter, saying, Proclaim a fast and set Naboth on high among the people. So what is she doing? She's creating a scenario, a conflict, a chaos, or a tragedy that will result in her or her husband obtaining this land. Check this out. Verse number 10, and set 2 sons of Belial before him to bear witness against him, saying, Thou didst blaspheme God and the king. So she even hired what we would call today crisis actors. People who would come out with a lie, pushing an agenda, pushing propaganda, or stating something that didn't happen, basically, right? So it says here in verse number, it says, Say that thou blaspheme God and the king, and then carry him out and stone him that he may die. Verse 11. And the men of his city, even the elders and the nobles, who were the inhabitants of his city, did as Jezebel had sent unto them. And as it was written in the letters which she had sent unto them, they proclaimed the fast and set Naboth on high among the people. And there came 2 men, children of Belial, that's your crisis actors, and sat before him. And the men of Belial witnessed against him, even against Naboth, in the presence of the people, saying, Naboth did blaspheme God and the king. Then they carried him forth out of the city and stoned him with stones that he died. Then they sent to Jezebel, saying that Naboth is stoned and is dead. Now check this out. They created this whole event to get what they wanted, which was his parcel of land. Verse 15. And it came to pass when Jezebel heard that Naboth was stoned and was dead, that Jezebel said to Ahab, Arise, take possession of the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite, which he refused to give thee for money. For Naboth is not alive, but dead. That's it on that.
Yeah. Showing how to make a false flag, false accusations to get what you want and have plausible deniability by doing so. Creating an event.
Exactly.
So all of these people would not have volunteered their place over so that this new initiative in California could go through. They wanted the houses, all the money they've made, to be what? Given to their children after them. And guess what? Now you get $770. All right? Now, Elder Lawya, while you're going there, let's deal with something in our recent time to show that government at any time could create an event that would lead to what? An intended outcome. Who knows about the Gulf of Tonkin incident in the 60s for the Vietnam War? What was that? The Gulf of Tonkin. The Gulf of Tonkin incident was an international confrontation that led to the United States engaging more directly in the Vietnam War. It consisted of a confrontation on August 2nd, 1964, when the United States forces were carrying out covert amphibious operations close to North Vietnamese territory waters, which triggered a response from North Vietnamese forces. The United States government falsely claimed that a second incident occurred on August 4th between North Vietnamese and the United States ships in the waters of the Gulf of Tonkin. Originally, United States military claims blamed North Vietnam for the confrontation on the ostensible but in fact imaginary incident on August 4th. Later investigation revealed that the second attack never happened. But they reported in the United States that there was a second attack, which was what? It was a preemptive scenario through propaganda that would give them justification to declare war against Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
The Gulf of Tonkin. Believe nothing. Okay? And have faith.
Right.
And have faith and trust in the Almighty. There's always a plan in place that the people would normally reject. Unless what? Unless an incident draws the citizens into backing the initiative. It's just the way it is. All right, I'm going to just take a few of these out. It's up to you if you want to take a break real quick. And I'm just going to take...
Yes, sir. I'm going to step away for a second.
I'm going to take a few of these, and that will conclude our broadcast for this evening. Make sure that your audio is on. Simeon. How you doing, Simeon?
How you doing, my brother? It's a pleasure. It's an honor to speak with you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, can you turn the music off behind you?
Yeah, I'm doing that right now. Goodness. Okay. Is that everything? Can you hear me now?
Yes. What is your name, sir?
My name is Simeon, like in the Bible, my brother. My name is right behind you.
Okay, good to hear from you. What city and state?
I'm in the city of Atlanta, Georgia. I'm actually a member of the GOCC here in Atlanta.
All praises be to the Almighty.
Absolutely,
It's
absolutely.
good to meet you. Let me break. Do you want me to pull you in, or a matter of fact, I'll put you here. Hold on.
Whatever's convenient for you.
All right, great.
Oh, I sent you an email too, by the way.
Okay. We'll talk about that later, but let me get you in here first.
Cool.
1 second. Okay, my brother. What say you?
Say, man, everything that you saying tonight, oh my goodness, absolutely on point. And you're all right. You see, my name is Simeon Nunnally. I'm Chief of Staff of Representative Eric Bell. That's House District 75 here in the state of Georgia. I'm currently on campaign trail right now for Congressional District 13. I actually just switched parties from the Democrats to the Republican. I'll be at Trump's inauguration on Monday. A lot of things that you're saying about government, my brother, absolutely true. Yes, there is a such thing called eminent domain, where government will have no problem with taking over your property. You are absolutely correct. And matter of fact, each state has something called a development land use map, and where your governor actually approves what we're going to do with that map. Here in the state of Georgia, they have a problem in the counties of Henry County and other counties because the governor has actually stated that those lands are actually made for warehouses. So what you're saying about the fires and how government will actually come in and take over that land and utilize it for the purpose of what government needed to do, it's absolutely true. We do it globally too. That's how we got the Panama Canal. So yes, you're absolutely right. I just wanted to give you my sentiments on that by saying, yes, government will have a tendency to move in for what's best for government and move the people accordingly. Not saying that we don't necessarily start. I mean, not that I know of. Look, I just going in on the FEC side. We don't necessarily start some catastrophes. But you have heard even personnel like Bill Gates saying catastrophe can be lucrative. right? And that's the mind frame that they use. You see? So with that being said, I just want to get a sentiments on behalf of government. Obviously, I deal with them on a daily basis. Session just started on Monday. So yeah, I mean, that's my profession, but yeah, you are absolutely right.
Okay,
right?
bless you, brother. And you're running for what in Georgia?
I'm tired to run for Congressional District 13. I'm replacing David Scott. I'm currently the Chief of Staff of Representative Eric Bell.
Okay.
And
all right.
Yeah, I write laws all the time.
All praise be to the Most High. Let me ask you this.
Go for it.
What do you think about what happened in California even though they put $7 billion away to make sure the forest was clear, that for the last 4 decades, they refused to clean up the brush and all that in the forest? I know here in Pennsylvania, part of the taxes is set aside to make sure that there's no shrubbery or anything. You can see people in different forest areas cleaning it out after every fall to make sure that the forest doesn't become combustible. What's the deal with them not cleaning up the forest in LA for the last 4 decades?
Mismanagement on government behalf.
Why would they do that though? The money's there.
That sounds like absolutely mismanagement on government behalf. Somebody turned a blind eye, and I don't have a problem with selling them, whether they're Democrat or Republican. First off, they should be absolutely under investigation. There is a charge for that. It's called malfeasance. If there is a personnel, an elected official that is utilizing their office and they're not doing it for the benefit of the people, you can put them on charge. Charge them, malfeasance. That is absolutely negligence. That's gross negligence. It's that. So mismanagement on funds that's actually appropriated by your governor that's supposed to stop these wildfires. No, brother, that's nothing to discuss. You're California, you're Hollywood. You have the highest GDP in the state of Georgia. I mean, the nation. California has the highest GDP in the nation. I mean, God bless me, I wrote House Resolution 1252 here in the state of Georgia. We brought them back $123.74 billion. When California adopted, they bring in $870 billion. California has plenty of money. Oh my goodness. The fact that they dried up. Oh, I sent you a message too regarding Mr. Resnick. Interesting that Mr. Resnick owns Fiji Water, right? They just had a recall last year, 1.9 million cases of water. Matter of fact, Mr. Resnick also owned Palm Pomegranate, and they just found a forever chemical in it. You see, we need to also look into some of these business.
Allegedly, let me put that out there.
Allegedly. Allegedly, they just haven't have him in court right now, right? To confirm. You follow?
Lord, I just drunk a Fiji water. I'm never going to drink it again. Thank you.
Brother, don't drink that.
All right. All right.
Stay away from red dye 3. It got petroleum jelly in it. Guys, look at these active ingredients that these people are pushing.
Okay.
That they're pushing on up.
I know. I'm advised not to. I got to start listening. Don't worry about it. It's good.
We're banning so many of them here in the state of Georgia. It's ridiculous. I don't want to see none of this stuff. Everything that UK banned, I see it here. I don't want to see red 3. I don't want to see anything that could kill our kids. Like you're saying, these ingredients are in our children's food. But ironically, the same person will still own public supplies.
Well, I probably want to set up. I'm gonna answer your email, and I'm gonna speak to Bishop Baruch, and probably have an interview with you separate from this anyway. Yeah. But let me ask you: is there fluoride in the water in Georgia?
Yes. Fluoride is not only in the water in Georgia. Fluoride is in the water across the nation, brother.
Well, I know, but what are they doing in Florida to get Florida? Because we don't need fluoride in the water. We take care of our own teeth, and drinking fluoride isn't helping our teeth anyway. What are you taking steps to get fluoride out of the water?
Absolutely. Ironically, you said that. I feel like you probably been in some of my party meetings. God bless me. See, I'm trying to remove red 3. I'm trying to remove fluoride too. The state of Georgia and the Metro Atlanta area, they have something called the forever chemical, right? That's causing cancer, my brother. And my mother died of breast cancer. Like I said, I sent you that via email, right? So nevertheless, I want those particles gone, removed.
Well, brother, I'm gonna call you off this. Can I call you tomorrow and we can discuss an interview? We can talk it.
Yeah, that's not a problem. That's not a problem. I'll be in the Capitol tomorrow, but I'll be back. I'll be back around 1 o'clock if you're free anytime at 1. Or you can call me in the Capitol. Just give me a call.
I'm gonna call you, brother. It's good to know that we have someone in the truth that's vying and fighting for our people. So it's always good to know we have somebody operating in the right spirit, you know, amongst those. Because it could be some snakes, but very seldom brothers and sisters don't understand it. There are some people that are getting in to try to fight for our cause that doesn't get enough recognition. And whether or not you can actually change things are one thing, but the fact that you're trying to doesn't get recognition. Usually the people in the sellouts get all the press, get all the conversation. So, brother, I'm going to have a conversation with you privately, and we're going to have a discussion here publicly for the brothers and sisters, all right?
All right, no problem, my brother. Hey, thank you, Elder, for all you do, and thank you for providing the truth.
Thank you, my brother. And thank you for you fighting for us on the ground, my brother. Bless you.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, we have Shara. Sister Shara, please unmute yourself. Well, I'm not going to drink Fiji water anymore. They try to make that packaging look good too. You think you're drinking you're drinking heaven serum the way the bottle looks. Let's do this. Shara. Can you unmute, Shara?
Hello?
How are you doing?
Could be better.
Okay.
I was calling in to just kind of give a testimony on what you guys said about, possibly having to leave with just the clothes on your back.
Okay. What's your name and where you're from?
So my name is Sierra Lavonge, and I currently live in Alaska with my family.
Okay. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. But it didn't quite happen due to fires. It was a little bit different, but you know how the scripture says the love of many will wax cold in those days?
Yeah.
And I happen to be recently married. I'm 21.
Good. Okay, good for you. Congratulations.
My husband, thank you. But my husband put me out
Lord have mercy.
in the middle of the night
What
at
happened?
7-degree weather. I can explain a little bit, but if you'd like to know, I did write you an email, or you could call me.
No, let me ask you this. He didn't just wake up out of nowhere and say, "Get out of my house." There must have been something that happened that provoked that. Not saying you did anything wrong, but it doesn't make sense a man you love would just say, "Get out into the cold," right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what was the catalyst to this? Not that it's justified.
I found that some things in his phone, possibly cheating, lots of dating apps. And he told me.
Okay, so you saw proof of infidelity.
Yes.
And you went to him about it.
Yes. I didn't even ask him about the infidelity directly. All I asked was that he get rid of a browser I think many people know called DuckDuckGo. And he immediately went off the rails talking about it doesn't matter that it deletes the history. That's all I asked him to do to see if he was being truly, infidel.
Yeah, but sister, instead of saying DuckDuckGo, sometimes, you have to be direct, okay? You probably said do that because you didn't want to tell him that you were snooping through his phone, right?
No, sir. He actually told me to go through it. So
he told you to go through. Okay, so he told you to go through the phone. You found proof of what you deem inappropriate conversation.
Yes, but not just what I deem. I went to looking up online before I brought it to anybody. I definitely checked with Google, all the things, the access times, everything. And I showed him everything, and I brought him everything.
Oh, sister, Lord have mercy. See, it's like it's like this. I can understand you suspected something. You got the evidence.
No, sir.
Okay, you confronted him with something, obviously, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I asked him about it.
All right. So, and by you confronting him with this, he said, get out.
No, sir. So, I will make a long story short for the time, but him and I ended up escalating and from a talk about, I think that this is cheating and you can't prove it to me otherwise because you're telling me that I'm being crazy and you're telling me that you're done with this and that you don't want to talk. And he told me I can have friends and I can do what I want with my phone, whether you know what it is or not. So I, being a woman of color, was like, oh my God, okay.
Hold
so
on. Let's stop real quick because you're hitting that woman of color thing. That's a Democrat term. Okay,
Sorry,
there's no woman of
not a
color.
Democrat.
With you being a sister, ain't going for it. So I take it that I take it that you're married to a white man.
Yes, sir.
All right, so it's getting things are heating up right now. So there's a white man. Is he an older white man?
No, sir. He's 26.
He's a 26-year-old white man that you're married to. You've been married how long?
Yes. About a month now, honestly.
Okay. Any children?
No, sir.
No?
No, sir.
Okay, so let's make it clear. You're with a 27-year-old man who've already shown signs of infidelity, no children, right?
Yes, sir.
So where's your parents?
So the thing is, he didn't show this before.
No. Focus on what I'm asking you.
Oh, my parents are here with me. I'm sorry.
Where's your parents?
They're currently in the other room, actually. I had to come home, obviously.
Well, you're in good shape. So now all you got to do is stay with your parents. On top of, you don't have to discuss anything else. Guess what? You've seen the signs already.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's up to you whether or not you want to stay into something that can only go downhill from now. Right? He's already showing infidelity. Okay.
Well, yes, Elder. It went beyond that. I wanted to share.
Okay, go on. I'm going to let you flow now. Go ahead.
Okay, I wanted to share what actually happened and like the terms of events afterwards. So when I said I wasn't going to deal with that, I got up and I was like, oh my God. So I went to walk down our hallway to get around him to go to our closet to, start either packing things or calling my parents to get some advice on what to do. And as I was going to pass him, he reached out and grabbed me, very firmly. And in that moment, I got a little flustered and I was like, please get off of me. He wasn't getting off of me, so I started pushing him off of me. And when he finally let go, I went to grab my phone and call my parents to ask them for help. And he chased me and he's saying, I'm taking the phone from you. And he ended up calling the police and telling my parents that he was putting me out. He called the police saying that I hit him because at some point during him grabbing me, his mouth ended up getting busted. And the woman told me I needed to get away from him and leave the premises.
How did his mouth end up getting busted?
Well, honestly, Elder, I don't know. It may have happened when I was pushing him off of me, but I truly don't know.
You blacked out and
in
just
that moment.
busted
Yes,
lip.
sir. I was scared.
Okay. All right, go on.
But anyway, he took the phone from me and put me out with nothing but what I was wearing, my coat, and a dog. And I proceeded to walk about 5 miles at 11 o'clock at night in 7-degree weather, not knowing whether someone was going to find me or not because I did not have a way to contact anyone. I only had my ID, the dog, and that coat. And I kept walking because we live in the middle of basically nowhere in Alaska. Well, me and my husband did at least. And I didn't know my way out of the woods. The roads aren't even completely paved. So I just wanted to share that and say that, you know, God has us. You know, there's a lot more to that story.
How did you get home? How did you get to your parents?
So I was walking on the side of the road, and I stayed in the. I got to a big four-way to the highway, and I stayed on the corner and waited for them to drive by. And when they drive by, I proceeded to started yelling and everything like that, and they were able to turn around and find me where I was at.
Who, your parents?
Yes, my father. He had come to get me.
All praises be to the Most High. All praises be to the Most High. Well, I'm
here, Elder.
Bless you, sir.
Yeah.
Bless you and your wife. And you are so. In this day and time, you're so privileged to have parents who care for you and guide you through this. Do you have any brothers?
I do. I have two brothers. One is in the lower 48, and the other one is here in Alaska.
Okay, how old are your brothers?
One of them is 31, and the other one is 29.
Because I'm a Bible man, and I don't advocate anything, especially, but I'm gonna let you know, between me and my family, I mean, if someone was to do that to my sister early in the morning, right? He would have to get, he would have to get tightened up.
Well,
all right.
My brothers,
I mean, he would make it through, right? But he would definitely understand it. You don't put out a young girl in her dog early in the morning in 7-degree weather and not expect not to get tightened up. So
right. So that's why he said he called the police. He said I threatened his life by calling my parents for help.
Yeah, but I'm glad you're safe. Glad you're safe.
Yeah. My father was good. He wanted to say something.
Let me ask your father something real quick.
Yes, sir. Here you go.
Shalom, Elder.
Shalom, sir. Let me ask you. You probably warned your daughter about this guy, didn't you?
No,
we've been me and my wife have been in the truth for a long time. We actually part of the Caribbean body, but we moved here.
Praise the Most High.
I warn them against things, but they make their decisions, and it's a decision that I hey, look. You like it, I love it.
I'm saying, but you warned her, though. You warned her, right?
Yeah, she was warned, and then he came like a wolf in sheep clothing, and I tried to receive him, even though I'm against it. My wife tried to receive him, even though she's against it, and this is the evidence of things that happen.
Sister, I'm gonna tell you, brother, when it comes to your daughter, this is why in the Bible the father vetted, and this when I was growing up, the father vetted. A matter of fact, if someone knocked on a door, you had to get the approval of the father first, or straight out. When I was growing up, it's like, listen, you come on my stoop again, and like I can only use what I said earlier. You get tightened up. It's like this, sir. Sir, listen. Girls are not in a position, and they think they are, to understand what's right for them when it comes to that, because women are emotional creatures, and they're not looking for the signs that a man would look for to understand whether or not that man is right for his daughter. So sister, for now on, you listen to your father.
Well, Elder, I wanted to say that, in the beginning, the Most High let me know. He guided me. He told me that there was something off with this one, even though he was so good and he was being so nice and everything was great. I was like, Mom, I went to my mom and I said, Mom, there's something off about him.
Well, why did you marry him? Why did you marry him?
Because he wasn't, when I thought there was something off, I did not want to write him off because he was a little weird every now and again. I ended up marrying him because he defended my family multiple times in very serious scenarios. So I thought that by the works I was seeing that he was good. My
Lord have
family
mercy.
had trusted him for a while, or at least my sisters and everyone.
All right,
so.
well, I'm going to get to the next call. I'll say this, sister. Let me
Yes,
tell
sir.
you, the Bible tell you, you go from a daughter to a husband. And usually what happens is the father vets the man to make sure that, okay, will he take care of her as well as or better than I can? And if not, he must kick rocks. Okay? So it doesn't matter. Sometimes we overlook things, especially a woman, because a woman walk through things with tunnel vision and she only gets what her idea of what that man is and block everything else out instead of seeing the red flags. It's your father that has the power to understand, okay, this guy's crazy. So from now on, listen to your father. Have your father get the paperwork together. Let your brothers know if this guy come around, that guess what? That's right. That his shoelace is gonna get popped. Okay. Back when I was growing up, we know that there was cats that would deal with it so tight. You get that 2-piece, and next thing you know, your shoelaces pop. And so what goes on here, even though I'm a spiritual man, okay, a man ain't supposed to be putting his hand on a woman, and a man is not supposed to be putting a little girl out and her dog. Something is deranged and demonic about this person out in 7-degree weather.
Thank you, Elder.
So for now,
Thank you, Elder.
listen, so for now on, sister, stop dealing with the affairs of your heart over the wisdom of your father.
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to tell you this again. Things are going to calm down, and this guy is going to call up again and acting as if all things are cool. It's going to happen.
Oh, Elder, he already called me with a list of demands saying, oh, we can only get back together if this. I promise you this story has been so much. This man has been so much.
Sister, tell him to kick rocks. And from now on, any conversation goes through your father, because what's going to happen is you're going to get amongst this guy. He's probably deranged. I mean, I'm going to tell you, you probably dealing with Jason from Friday the 13th. You get up in his house.
He told me, well, Elder, I'm going to say this really fast. He did call me and told me that he called the police because he thought it was the best thing for his safety and mine. I asked him why he put me out at 11 o'clock at night. He said, I think it was better than beating your face into the floor.
See, did I tell you? Let me tell you, there's a lot of this stuff is going on where these deranged guys out there are getting with sisters, and sisters sometimes are hiding the fact that these guys aren't right. So all in all, stop contacting him. Don't let him block him. Get your paperwork together and get a clean slate to get a man that your father choose for you, okay? Because I'm hearing about a lot of stuff happening with sisters going missing, dealing with these deranged people like that. All right?
Well, they sent state troopers to my house in the middle of the night demanding that they are able to come in at 3 o'clock in the morning to take me, not back to the station for questioning, back to his property where there was only him and 6 other police officers, all male.
Well, sister, listen. Right now you're safe. You're in the care of your father. Listen to what I'm saying, or become a casualty.
Yes, sir.
Because the only thing this insane dude is probably doing is waiting for an opportunity to be alone with you again. All right? You married a crazy person, all right? Back up off it. Listen to your father, all right?
Thank you, Elder. Thank you, because I have 2 boys and 10 girls. So
Lord have mercy.
Yeah. Yeah. And all from my wife, yeah.
Good for you. Well, I'm telling you, get some brothers around, and somebody need to let him know, listen, hey,
I
Listen,
think
we're gonna.
he already knows that.
Yeah,
I think my daughter left out a part,
yeah,
but
a
he
lot.
already knows what time it is.
He hid in
Hey,
the
listen.
closet for 3 days with
Hey,
his son.
listen,
Elder.
pops. I don't know about you, but you need to tell him. Listen, you come around and talk to my daughter, and I'm moving furniture.
Well, you know I believe in laying on her hands and praying for you at the same time.
Listen, yeah. I'll pray for you afterwards. Yeah. We can pray, but guess what? You will be moved around the room. Okay, so
of course
I'll pray for you afterwards. All right. So all right, that's how we deal with this. All right. Shalom.
Yeah, I sure appreciate you, Elder. Shalom.
I appreciate. Listen to your father, young girl.
Yes,
Bless
sir.
you.
Shalom,
All right.
Elder.
Hard-headed, I tell you. Do me a favor, y'all can come. You can let these girls be hard. They don't be listening to their father. They think they know everything. Shirai, you better listen from now on. All right, I got 2 more, and then that's it for that. Like we going into after hours already, but I have to go tonight. It's been a long broadcast. Kate Smith. Y'all can come. You can let these girls be hard. They don't be listening to their father. They think they know everything.
Shalom.
Yes, Kate. How are you? She was married to Jason.
Yeah, crazy scenario right there. All praises. How are you, Elder?
I am blessed by the best, and his name is Ahaya. How are you, sister?
Not so great today, but I'm also blessed by the best, and his name is Ahaya.
All right, talk to
praises. Yes. In the UK, in London, in Stoke Newington, an area called Stoke Newington, where my mum lives, they already have the 15-minute city set up. If I want to go to my mum's house from where I live, I have to go around about half an hour out of my way to go back around to get to where she lives, which is crazy. And they've blocked all the roads off around that area. Not only that, but the mayor of London has made a 20 mile an hour speed limit in the whole of London. And that is very insane.
Interesting.
You can't have 20 miles an hour in a city like London, because that causes even more congestion.
Yeah.
And I understand like residential roads and where schools are, that makes sense, but not on like ordinary roads where, in the city and stuff. It really doesn't make any sense to have a 20 mile an hour speed limit. But yeah, the 15 minutes are already here. 15 minutes it is already here. Unless Stoke Newington is an example of what they want the rest of London to be.
Yeah,
so
matter of fact,
I know that they've already started to block in.
Sister, I'm familiar with that. I living in Manchester for a while, right? I was in Cresswell for a while. Then I went to Manchester, and what I noticed about England in general is that a lot of that have already been established with how those particular housing areas are already closed in. It only take about 2 cars. Everything is in a cul-de-sac. It only take about 2 or 3 cars to actually block off almost a 1 mile area in England. The way things are set up, they can block off 2 areas, 2 to 4 areas, and you will be just operating within that particular area altogether without being able to come out of that vicinity. So believe it or not, what they're trying to do in the United States have already been accomplished in England. And on top of that, they got speed bumps everywhere in England.
They've stopped the speed bumps now. They've removed some. I'm glad to say.
Yeah.
They've removed some.
Oh yeah. So yeah. You talk. When I first went to England, I'm like, man.
Yeah, it was awful.
No, I noticed that they already have it set up. To be controlled in the event of the event of an emergency. Yeah. So yeah.
What I saw one time when I was, I think I might have been 19 or so, I was still living at home in Stoke Newington, or Stokey as we call it, and I saw a chase. A police car was chasing some other car down the road, and the car turned down, I think it might be in a Brighton Road, and the police missed the turning and lost the car because the road that they were driving down, Neville Road, went into another road. I think there might be well, it doesn't matter what the name of the road is, but where the car turned down, there was loads of turnings, left-hand turnings, so it would be very difficult for the cops to know which turning they took. Anyway, the following week, they blocked the road off.
Yeah.
Totally blocked it off.
Yeah.
Because the police wasn't able to chase the car down and catch whoever the people were in that car.
That's how
I
it's
was
set up.
shocked. I was really surprised.
Just so that's how it's already set up. They have a map of how to cut off any street in the UK, and they cut off 2 streets. You can be rolling all you want, you ain't going nowhere. It's all blocked in like an inside maze. I've seen it, and I noticed immediately that it's constructed that way to control the people. Believe it or not, UK, what the UK has been for decades is what they've been trying to do to America for years, using a shooting at a school to try to pass legislation to take guns. Everything they have already did in UK, they're trying the same thing in the United States, but I don't believe it's going to work. So, but
no.
Well, thank you, sister. Let me get to the next call because I'm about to relax and I'm hungry too. So I gotta eat. Bless you. I'll talk to you Friday. But yeah, they've already exercised. They've already taken all the freedoms away from the people in the UK.
That's very true.
So, hey, there's something else they didn't bank on. Benjamin ain't no joke. I'll tell you that right now. It ain't going to end like they think it's going to end.
No, I'm Benjamin, so I know.
Oh, yeah. All right, bless you.
No.
All right, bless
It's
you.
going to be what they think.
Hey, Benjamin break out. Hey, Benjamin come together. You know what I mean? I tell you in the scriptures, stuff turn up. So Benjamin start turning up on them. It's over. Thank you, sister.
That's it. Shalom.
Shalom.
Bless you.
Bless you. They tell you, boy, Benjamin and Simeon came on the scene. And next thing you know, stuff just caught on fire. It was over. All right. And I'm not no proponent for that, but if you put somebody in a corner, hey, prepare yourself for a serious reaction. Kayam, the next call for this evening. How you doing, sir?
Shalom.
Last call for this evening. Shalom. How you doing, Kayam?
How you doing, sir? Man, I know you done seen and heard everything, sir. All praise to the Most High, giving you double honor, sir, and all the leadership. Elder, I know when Elder Lawya, he highlighted 2nd Ezra 15 and 18. It's all about pride with everything. I think, because when Yeshua said, be like these little children, I don't think children walk around with pride unless it's, the type of pride that they have, unless it's instilled, like, with Dwayne Wade's son. But, children will walk around with that type of pride. But I know, like, with the pride is reaching everywhere, So we have to make sure that we don't have that same pride that is spoken of in the scriptures. We have to have love for the Most High, which is keeping His commandments. And I know that a lot of things is going on. They have like remember the game Mines and you touch here and it blows up. They have a lot of that set up in front of us. So we have to watch out for Satan's devices. And I know that we have to make sure that we stay strong and in this walk and be careful, because I know God Roland Martin, he was speaking and he was actually making certain gestures saying about the water. And I remember you saying that a long time ago, that, getting filters and be careful, and boiling your water is not going to help. So a lot of times we just have to make sure that we revisit these lessons and channel them in our minds and stay grounded in leadership and listen to what is being taught to us. I know it seems far-fetched, but right now we're seeing everything that you said years ago, right before. So we have to maintain and even encourage each other. Elder Rawchaa yesterday was saying that we have to support each other, and we have to come together as one. We can't be privileged just because we know high. We have to be loving and have kind heart and understanding that this is, we heard the call, and we got to be thankful and plant these seeds and finish, like you say, finish. We have a task in front of us, and it's a checkoff list, and we have to complete this mission in order to make it to the kingdom and just stay grounded. And I thank you, sir, for all this.
Well said, my brother. I can't wait to see you, my brother. Stay strong in the spirit, and brother, it's good to see you. It's good to hear you as always, right?
Yes, sir. The water, sir. Yes,
okay.
Sir.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Well, it looks like I'm going to have to do Zoom going forward until this thing get fixed. Until I'm going to come up with a new radio program to call in with a separate number soon. So I'll be working on that between now and Friday, so I don't have to worry about Blog Talk no more. Blog Talk have actually did its service up until this point, but just as it was in the beginning, the Gathering of Christ Church, we pivot. Okay, one thing continues to service what the Most High need us to do in this earth, and another service come into play. But as long as we have breath and power in the knowledge of this Bible, we're going to find a way to bring forth this truth. Thank you for your support. Go to gatheringofchrist.org. Donate to support if you've received anything from this ministry. And with that, historytimes.org. Join the academy that's coming up in February. We're the children of Israel, and yes, we are back. Stay prayed up, sin not. Brothers and sisters, we will soon see Zion. See you Friday. And stay tuned. Go to GOCC Media tomorrow night, where you can see my brother, the Levi Experience, Deacon Hazak, tomorrow night around the same time. Have a pleasant evening. Shalom. We're the children of Israel. And again, y'all know it. We are back. Where that song at? Let's do it. Of course, I got to end it with my peoples. Good night. Thank you, Elder Lawya.
The East is where we're from. The 12 tribes of Israel. In 721 BC, the Assyrian king, he took us down, we fell. With a great escape, we went through the Euphrates. The Lord held the water still. To a land where no mankind dwelt, we went. The 12 tribes of Israel. That's who we be, Manasseh, the Cubans, Ephraim from Puerto Rico, and Valley from the Isles of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. Zebulon from Panama, Gad, the North American Indians, Simeon, the Dominicans, our highest gathering Israel. The Arabs and Africans told us, at gunpoint, together our wives and children then sold us. In the belly of these great ships we traveled in fear. By the rivers of Babylon we found our brothers here. Asher in Colombia, Reuben from Australia, Issachar, the Mexicans, our highest gathering Israel. Judah, the Negroes, Benjamin, the West Indians.